Championship live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Order McDelivery on the McDonald's app and get tasty rewards points. It's 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Kick-off at the King Power between Leicester and Ipswich is next.
EFL Live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Fancy a Big Mac for the big match? Order McDelivery now on the McDonald's app and get tasty reward points delivered too. 18 plus. Rewards account required. Participating restaurants. Subject to availability. Delivery fees and terms apply.
At Morrison's, more than 1,000 prices have been locked low, like a kilo of basmati rice, lowered from £2.19 to £1.85, and 500 grams of British steak mince, locked low at £3.49. More savings on Mum's midweek chilli.
Morrison's to shop at Morrison's.
Majority of stores and online, subject to availability, 5% fat mince.
It's the UK's biggest used car sale, with savings on over 20,000 used cars. It's Arnold Clark's only sale of the year. The real sale is back. It's the sale you don't want to miss. Nobody does it bigger. Nobody does it better. The Arnold Clark Real Sale is now on. For stock verification and to find the car you're looking for, visit arnoldclark.com.
Coming to Apple TV Plus on 26th January.
We came from every corner of the country to bring the war to Hitler's doorstep.
Starring a stellar cast led by Academy Award nominee Austin Butler, Callum Turner and Anthony Boyle.
You'll be in charge of 350 air crewmen, boys who have yet to experience combat.
Let's rack them up and knock them down.
From the executive producers of Band of Brothers in the Pacific.
I'm going to bet on anything. I'm going to bet on us.
Masters of the Air, only on Apple TV Plus. Subscription required.
This winter, Talksport 2 is the only place to hear live and exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of England's Test match series in India.
Hear laser-guided analysis from a top-class lineup of cricket experts,
including David Bumble Lloyd,
Steve Harmison,
Darren Goff,
Kevin Peterson,
Alex Tudor,
Gareth Batty,
and star of the 100, Phoebe Graham.
Oh my goodness!
Hear exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of the first Test match live from Hyderabad this Thursday morning, only on Talksport 2.
EFL Live on Talksport 2.
In the Championship, they simply don't get any bigger than this. Steedy down the right side, Dewsbury Hall with the header, and he puts Leicester in front.
They are a Premier League side in the Championship.
We are in the right way. We need to continue, and in the moment that we reach our target, we're going to be all more happy.
Burnshit's and scores!
Everything about this place at the moment, I think that's a great word, is positive.
They're in a great position and they've got to still take that forwards because it's about promotion.
But we know that means we're doing a lot of good things, and we'll keep trying to do those good things and we'll keep trying to improve the areas that we can improve on.
Navadini again, working his magic down the left-hand side for Leicester City. Broadhead smashes it in! He didn't miss this one!
How can you not love the EFL?
Huge game in front of us in the Championship. Leicester City have won their last 5 home matches at the King Power Stadium. It's their best run there in over 4 years, but can they keep it going as a hungry Ipswich Town arrive, looking to give their automatic promotion hopes a huge boost? We'll ask, can the Foxes maintain that run in our live Championship game here on Talksport 2, a quarter of an hour away from kickoff? Let's get the latest odds with William Hill.
In the Zone on Talksport 2 with official betting partner William Hill. Get epic value all season with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Delighted to say Lee Phelps joins us from William Hill. Good evening.
Yeah, what a game this is. So excited by it. Leicester versus Ipswich. And like you said, it's been fascinating listening to the build-up to this because, you know, you're just waiting to see if Leicester, look, back-to-back defeats for the second time this season would be a big surprise here. Be a huge win for Ipswich. But let's not forget, it was a Friday night, 8 o'clock kickoff when Leeds went there and won 1-0. So it's not out of the question that Ipswich could do it. But the 16-5 to win tonight, 13-5 the draw. Leicester are 3-4. Now, I've said it over and over again on Talksport 2, previewing the Championship this season. I don't tend to trust many teams at odds on, but I think Leicester at 3-4, it might even represent value here. Look at the goals they're scoring at home. I know that's against teams who are worse than Ipswich, but, you know, they've really got the bit between the teeth, haven't they? I think it's really interesting whether you think that both teams will score here, because not only do they win well, Leicester, but they don't concede many goals. Leicester to win and both teams to score is 11-4. I think I might just go on the edge of Leicester winning to 0 rather than both teams to score. I was looking at the goal scorers again, and look, there's goals everywhere. When you look down that, whatever forwards they pick, they score goals. And so do the midfielders for that matter. I mean, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall is 13-5 to score at any time tonight. Steffi Mavididi is 15-8, and they're good prices. If this is the equivalent, Liverpool or Man City in the Premier League, they're on such a great home winning run, and they're playing a team at the top. Their goal scorers, the likes of Salah and Haaland, would be around the even money mark, if not odds on. So I think these are really good value prices if you can pick the right one. To score first, those two players, Mavididi is 5-1 to score first, and Dewsbury-Hall is 13-2. If you do think that Ipswich can get on the score sheet, then I guess you're going to have to look at Connor Chaplin. I mean, he's scoring plenty of winners, isn't he, this season? Very crucial goals. He's 15-2 to score first, 3-1 to score at any time. If you do think he scores the winner tonight, to score last, he's 15-2 as well. Can't wait.
Should be a great game. Thank you very much, Lee Phelps of William Hill. You can get epic value all season with William Hill. It's 18+, begambleaware.org.
In the Zone on Talksport 2 with official betting partner William Hill, giving you the tools for positive play. Take time to think and know your limits. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Well, both teams did score when they met in the reverse fixture at Portman Road not long ago on Boxing Day. Very important game. Ipswich avoiding defeat in that game was an important one, but if Leicester City beat them tonight, you'll feel like maybe that home game was a missed opportunity. We shall find out very, very shortly. Joining us once again at the King Power Stadium is Adrian Clark, the former Stevenage midfielder, is with us. Adrian, talk to me about the tactical battle here, and especially what we learned possibly from that first encounter.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the team selections tell a story in themselves. It's quite a pragmatic selection from Ipswich Town. I think it's a nod of respect towards Leicester City and the fact that they're going to have to be out of possession for long periods. They've gone with Travis and Luongo in there. That's a far more defensive double pivot than what it could have been if Jack Taylor had been in there. And I think Marcus Harness is maybe a slightly more industrious wide man than Nathan Broadhead, who, of course, is really more of a forward that's playing out wide. So I think they realise that Harness is going to have to do a lot of tracking back tonight. Look, we know how the pattern of the game will be. Leicester will boss the ball. They'll have loads of possession. They'll bring in the fullback into central midfield and look to create overloads, and they'll dominate the play. The key for Ipswich is can they hound them, and can they win the ball back in good areas and spring those transitions and counters and catch Leicester off guard when they've got players ahead of the ball. That's the key for me. One thing I will say about Ipswich is that they're pretty good at that. No team in the Championship has won more high turnovers than Kieran McKenna's side this season. So it's something they're used to doing, and they're going to have to be good at that tonight.
Wanted to talk to you about the midfield battle. We know Sam Morsey's missing with suspension, of course, in the heart of that Ipswich midfield. But we also heard from Rob Tanner a few moments ago that he expects Ricardo Pereira to move into midfield, or at least pop up in midfield more high up the pitch than we usually see him. How do you see that midfield battle tonight? Yeah,
I don't think that's a problem for Ricardo. I think he's got good legs, good energy. He spends half the game in there anyway when he plays at right back, so that's not a problem. I think that what Leicester do is they create 4v3s, because Winks is in there, Dewsbury-Hall is in there, Ricardo's in there, and we might see Chowdhury slide across as well. So what do Ipswich do? They've only got two central midfielders. What they'll need is Connor Chaplin to drop in and lend a hand, and maybe one of the wide players will have to tuck in as well. So it's going to be awkward. They're going to have to really think about it out of possession, Ipswich, because this is where Leicester suffocate almost every team that they face. They dominate inside that engine room, and then they play the ball wide out to Mavididi, out to McAteer, and those two are absolutely dynamite in 1v1 situations, particularly Mavididi. So it's going to be so hard. Ipswich will have to be on point when they're off the ball throughout tonight's game if they're to stand a chance, and then obviously make the most of the opportunities when they have them. They've got talent, Ipswich, in forward areas. They've got goal threats, but they're going to have to defend exceptionally well to keep this Leicester side at bay, even though they're fairly depleted.
Kieran McKenna's been speaking about embracing the challenge of going away to the King Power tonight. What about his temperament? From what you've seen, you know, in going into a game like this, how do you think he views it? Does he think they need to take all 3 points tonight? Does that change how he maybe throughout the game changes his tactics?
Kieran McKenna's pretty chilled. I was lucky enough to speak to him after the Stoke game when they drew, and I was trying to lay it on a bit and say, look, a bit of pressure on you now, Southampton, breathing down your necks. And he was like, nah, not really. We're just having fun. We're enjoying it. Well, no one expected us to be in this position anyway, and that's the attitude they're going to have. I think they're just going to attack this game, you know, like, obviously they know they're going to have to defend well and they're going to treat it properly, but it's also almost a free shot because Leicester are such heavy favourites. I'll tell you the player that would scare me if I was Ipswich, and that is Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Amazing pace. How quick does he travel with the ball at his feet? As well, off the ball as well, he makes up ground to pick up loose balls. And Ipswich were destroyed by Leeds and their pace in both matches. And that worries me from an Ipswich point of view tonight. Their back four is not the quickest. And Leicester have got Mavadidi and McAteer. They're rapid. And most of all, they've got Dewsbury-Hall making those surges from the engine room. So there are a lot of problems for Ipswich to think about, but they're in third place for a reason, Ipswich Town. They're a very good team, well drilled, well organised, well coached, and they're very together under Kieran McKenna. So I think this is going to be a competitive game. I think we might see both teams score. Can't wait to see what unfolds.
Should be absolutely fantastic. Adrian, thank you very much. Enjoy the game. Let's hear from the Ipswich camp, winger Wes Burns. Listen, Leicester and Ipswich faced off back on Boxing Day. The points were shared. Wes Burns expecting a similar tense affair tonight.
Got the point. I think we created enough in the game to, you know, warrant the point. But going to Leicester is going to be a tough one, you know, as they all are, going away from home in the Championship. But, you know, they're flying at the top of the league and, you know, their squad's, you know, a very good squad. So we're going to have to be our best to get something there. They're not really going to be too different in terms of, you know, formations and tactically and stuff. I know they've got a couple of players that have gone away for various reasons, so have we. So, it'll be a fairly similar game, but like I said, we'll have to be at our best.
Well, Wes Burns knows exactly what it's going to take tonight to get a victory against Leicester City. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Jim Proudfoot, just over 5 minutes now away from kick-off. Courtney, very quickly, how's the atmosphere?
Yeah, it's building. The light shows on. The Fox is on the big screen with the big blue eyes, and they're out on the pitch with the flags. So, yeah, it's certainly building. It is near capacity, as it normally is here at the King Power, just the last few flooding in from the concourse.
Lovely, lovely. Rubbing my hands together for this one. I want it to have all the needle, all the bite, not just the lovely play that we expect from these two teams. What do you think about what I was just asking Adrian there, about Kieran McKenna? Would he be happy with a point this evening? Is that okay for where Ipswich are right now?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Leicester City, they're top of the league for a reason. And they're so far out in front, so I think a point is massive. I think I said it earlier, I think the big thing for Ipswich today is don't lose. They come away from a point, away from home to the league leaders, they'll be happy, and it puts them back into that automatic promotion spot.
Jim, if the gap becomes 10 tonight, is that Leicester City rubber stamping what we all think will probably happen anyway in terms of the title? Will the dream be over for a number of other clubs? Will we be seeing the other three chasers, if you like, fighting it out for that second spot?
Yes, we might well, to be fair. I think a 10-point advantage is monumental. It would be very hard to make a case for a side that, under those circumstances, would have won 22 out of 28, letting a 10-point lead slip. I mean, it could happen, of course, but I think that Southampton and Leeds are both Ipswich fans tonight, in a way, just to try and reel Leicester in. The flip side of that, of course, is that a victory for Leicester, it might mean that everybody is playing for second, but it weakens Ipswich's position slightly with what would be a rare defeat. So it's a difficult one, but I think that a 10-point lead, and it is all over by the shouting.
In that case, maybe a number of us, not all of us, will be cheering on Ipswich tonight. I can't tell you which camp I'll be in, but I think you can guess. Very finally here, Courtney, how do you expect this first half to go?
I think it'll be a little bit cagey, to be honest. I think it was mentioned earlier, Leicester notorious for a bit of a slow start, and You might think that means Ipswich might come and try and put them under pressure early, but I don't think that will happen. I think they'll be very pragmatic, and Adrian spoke about it in terms of the team that they've put out as well. So I think it's a case of for Ipswich, they're going to want to try and stay in the game as long as possible. And then the way that Leicester play and the way that they normally bring the full-back into the midfield, I think they can be exploited if you play on the counter-attack and hit the space as well. And I don't think Fass and Vestergaard are particularly pacey, so they are there to be exploited. I think for Ipswich, they've just got to make sure that they don't concede early on in this game and stay in it for as long as possible.
Can't wait for this one. It's maybe not all or nothing for Ipswich, but as Courtney points out, maybe must not lose. A win at the King Power would be huge for their assault on a place in the Premier League and could put a halt, at least for the time being, on a Leicester City possession. Should be an absolute cracker. First versus third in the Championship, live and exclusive to national radio, right here on Talksport 2, in the company of the former Liverpool and Sheffield United women's striker, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, and our very own Jim Proudfoot.
Well, here are two clubs who entered the Championship through opposite doors last summer, both battling for a place in the elite. Pace has been relentless, record-breaking for much of the time in a four-horse race for promotion, which will see two clubs miss out, almost certainly with a higher points tally than any team who's ever fallen short before. Yet by their own supremely high standards, both come into this epic encounter after a wobble. The Foxes beaten at Coventry last time out, a result which keeps their advantage at the top of the table in single figures. Ipswich, resolute and tough to beat, have won only one of the last 6 as the goals have dried up, and they've dropped 11 points out of a possible 18 in the process. But still, they defy all expectations with a budget that pales in comparison to many around them. It's 12 years since the side went straight through the Championship en route from League One to the Premier League, and it could yet happen at Portman Road in May. A reminder of the two teams: Hermansen in goal for Leicester, Ricardo, Fass, Vestergaard and Justin. Chowdhury alongside Winks in midfield. It could easily be the other way around, with Chowdhury playing as a conventional inside right back and Ricardo in midfield. McAteer and Mavididi will supply the width from Dewsbury Hall, lurking in support of Tom Cannon up front. Ipswich, Gladkey in goal, Clark, Wolfenden, Edmondson and Davis, Travis and Luongo, Burns, Chaplin and Harness and Jackson. Now, Ipswich in all orange tonight, their change kit. Leicester in the royal blue, and no Enzo Maresca. He's got a lofty vantage point. He's not too far away from us, just a couple of rows behind us. He got a yellow card in that game against Coventry, so he's serving a dugout ban tonight. And it's Willie Caballero, Danny Walker and Michele De Bernardine who are down on the technical area. First against third. The chance for Leicester to take a 10-point lead at the top of the table. Another mighty step towards the Premier League, the title and history. But the chance for Ipswich to keep them sweating, blow the race open and move back within 4 points of the summit themselves. These are the nights that Talksport 2 was made for. And Ipswich on the front foot from the very off. And they got a corner inside the opening 15 seconds, which will be taken on the right flag away to our right. Tractor boys kicking from left to right as we look at it. And what a chance this would be for them to get themselves ahead early on. It's a really poor corner, hit in low and flat towards the edge of the penalty area and easily cleared. And Ipswich win the second to work it all the way back for Gladkey. Gladkey not too far from the edge of the centre circle, pings it forward long to pass straight through to Hermansen at the other end. Both goalkeepers with a touch of the ball inside the opening minute. I'm delighted to say that Courtney Sweetman-Kirk is alongside me here in the East Midlands tonight for a belting game, one of the best in the Championship on paper this season. Yeah, and it's just interesting. We were wondering, weren't we, where Chowdhury was going to play. He's actually playing left back. I say that as he then steps into midfield, and so James Justin's playing on the right, and Chowdhury will do that role in terms of coming into the midfield, and Pereira on the ball now in the centre of midfield. And he turned very easily and sweeps it down for Mavididi, who's got a chance to run at Clark here towards the edge of the penalty area. Ricardo again, and that's easily cleared by Harness, who will just whack it away. And that Fass will pick it up just inside his own half for Leicester. 90 seconds gone on Talksport 2. A choice of listening again for you on the Talksport network tonight, over on Talksport right now. The game down on the south coast, Brighton and Hove Albion against Wolves. As the ball is over on the Leicester City right. Played back towards the halfway line. Helped forward by Harry Winks. Oh, and then a mistake in the back by the Ipswich Town back line. A chance for Cannon to find a way through. Sliding challenge from Clark, got it away. And then a really well-timed challenge on McAteer. Denied him the opportunity to pull the trigger. That was a good recovery from Wolfenden after his initial error.
Yeah, and it's a really good challenge and do really well, Leicester. Just to pounce on this, it's when you're making sure that you're on your front foot, you're waiting for a mistake and do really well to get in, but it's a fantastic sliding challenge. The block by Clark from Cannon, absolutely fantastic. He injures himself in the making of the block. He's up now, thankfully, but it's a really good challenge and it looked like a certain goal.
So just a few signs of early nerves, potentially, as far as Ipswich are concerned. Chaplin, who's a goal short of 50 for Ipswich and a goal short of 100 in his career. The Ipswich skipper just laying it back to the edge of his own penalty area. And Gladkey will chip the ball out. Brought down under control neatly enough by Harness in the midfield. And then a loose touch is capitalised upon by Winks. It was Leif Davis who's been linked with a move to West Ham, who just couldn't quite bring it under control. Leicester then win a free kick in the heart of the midfield. And referee Josh Smith just indicates to Harry Winks exactly where the free kick's got to be taken from. Bright start, though. Ipswich winning that corner inside the opening 20 seconds, but ever since it's been all Leicester City. And here's Chowdhury fighting fast. Play down the left-hand side for Mavididi. The former Arsenal trainee getting it back again from Fast, who will let the then ball, having hit Harness, go out of play for a throw, which will be taken on the right-hand side, the left-hand side by Leicester. Hamza Chowdhury taking it. Working it all the way back to his goalkeeper, Hermansen. Leicester 5 points ahead of where they were at this stage of their last Premier League campaign. And their figures quite magnificent. 6 points better off than Burnley were at this stage of last season. Burnley ended up with 101. Only 1 point behind Reading, who got 106 points in the 2005-2006 season. That is the record at this level. Leicester actually currently on course for 110 if they keep going at the same rate. Ipswich themselves on course for 98, so it shows you the job that they're doing. But they've got some work to do here. They've given another free kick away as the retreating Lewis Travis, the recent signing from Blackburn, just caught his man. And that's a free kick that'll be taken by Harry Winks again.
Yeah, and he catches Dewsbury Hall, but that's what Dewsbury Hall does so well. He pops up in fantastic areas, and what I love about him is he's always looking to face forward. He wants to play forward, not sideways, not backwards, and uses his body extremely well and draws the foul from Travis.
Ball play back to the halfway line for Leicester and Yannick Vestergaard. And now out towards James Justin, playing at right back, as Courtney was saying, with Chowdhury lurking. He's ostensibly playing as the inside left back, but so much of the time almost as a 4. As the long ball is driven forward, it's then headed by Clark back to his goalkeeper, Gladkey. And he'll catch it on the edge of the penalty area and then run back towards the penalty spot and calm things down, and Wolfenden will give it him back. And there's almost a terrible mistake as Ipswich determined to play out from the back. Just rolled it forward towards the edge of the penalty area. Edmondson didn't really want it in that position, nor did Travis.
Interesting as well, the rest of the Leicester City team ready to pounce. Chowdhury got higher, so would Pereira. If the next pass had been able to come out as well, they'd have been ready to pounce on that one. They're really looking to play on the front foot, Leicester.
A rare opportunity for Ipswich to be able to bring the ball forward down the left-hand side with Jackson. Jackson faced up by Justin, tries to deliver a cross, which hits the one-time England player. Ricochets back towards halfway. Luongo in with Dewsbury Hall in the midfield. Play allowed to go on, and Luongo will get it back over on the left-hand side of the Ipswich midfield with 6.5 minutes in. Leicester nil, Ipswich nil it remains. And now Travis ends up on the deck. There is a little physical, feisty element to this in the early stages. Ball played forward. Vestergaard, tallest man on the pitch, gets his head to it. Ball goes down towards his own corner flag, but he's able to turn and sweep it forward. And now Casey McAteer will try and drive down the Leicester right, works it back inside, looking for Dewsbury Hall. Put out of play by Travis and out of play for a Leicester throw. 7 minutes gone, Courtney. Still 0-0.
Yeah, and Leicester are so combative in that midfield. We speak about how one of the fullbacks always sits in the sort of sitting with the four with Winks, and it's because they overload that midfield. It's so easy for them to get close to the teams that they're playing, and that's why they're constantly on the front foot, ready to make the tackle. And it's been a good start, though, from both teams. I didn't know whether it'd be a bit of a cagey affair, but it's certainly been none of that.
Ipswich have a throw over on the far touchline there left. Coming into this on the back of 2 straight wins in all competitions, having failed to win any of the 5 matches before that. In fact, they were top of the table as recently as December the 13th, but they've only taken 7 points from the last 6 games. That night, Leicester won here. They weren't great, but beat Millwall 3-2 here on Talksport 2 and moved back to the top. And they haven't looked back since. Ipswich just having a little bit of a wobble. The ball will be played down the Ipswich left, and they win a free kick just inside their own half after a foul by Vestergaard, who protests his innocence to referee Josh Smith. There's going to be a free kick that will be taken over on that far touchline after a foul on Caden Jackson.
Yeah, and it was needless, really, from Vestergaard. Yes, you want to get tight to your player and make sure that he doesn't turn, but there was no need for the push in the back, and I think he was scared that he potentially going to get turned. And mentioned it earlier, Vestergaard fast, not a hell of a lot of pace between them.
That's probably a criticism that you can level of the Ipswich back line as well, which is one of the more intriguing elements today, that both sides, when they get the opportunity to run at the opposition, might be able to make hay. Ipswich will try and do that now, trying to get Wes Burns in, but Chowdhury has dealt with them effectively. Burns coming back has clipped him. Just a little bit stop-start in the opening 8-9 minutes or so. This is the second time that these two have met in quick succession. The last game back on Boxing Day, a 1-1 draw. Mavididi having given Leicester a lead that was cancelled out with a shot that hit Vestergaard and wrong-footed his goalkeeper in the 3rd minute of stoppage time to give Ipswich a 1-1 draw. Foxes only had 5 shots that day and an XG of just 0.3. That's the season lows in each category. So that is something that Ipswich will feel that they can build upon today. Neither goalkeepers had anything to do inside the opening 9.5 minutes. Now Manson will just bring the ball outside the penalty area now. You would talk Sport 2. And it's a game with huge billing, high intrigue, but short of goal-scoring opportunity in these early stages.
Yeah, it's been combative in the midfield, though, and it's not been cagey from that sense, but that quality in the final third from both sides has been a little bit lacking. I do feel, though, less for the ones that are on top, and I feel that playing out from the back, especially Ipswich, do look a bit shaky.
And Hermansen just after a poor first touch, able to steer it away from Jackson, whose eyes lit up for a moment. And he goes out of play for a throw that will be taken on the Ipswich right, and Clark has taken it quickly. Worked in field towards Chaplin, but Mavididi's done well to rob him of possession. Luongo can't win it back for long. Winks and Mavididi coming out of the very congested midfield area. And Harry Winks has got the ball at his feet. Ipswich just dropping back into a shape. Getting the bodies back behind the ball. James Justin exchanging passes with Winks again over on the right-hand side. Manson's heart will still be beating pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, I spoke too soon, didn't I? Talking about, Ipswich playing out from the back and looking a bit shaky, but Hermansen there, I think his heart rate will just about be coming down now.
Vestergaard in his white boots in his half of the centre circle. 11 minutes behind us, still 0-0. Tom Cannon, summer signing from Everton, who's really struggled with a back problem since he moved here, but good to see him fit. Mavididi able to take it on now inside the area. Past a couple of challenges. Ipswich can't get it effectively away. Chaplin is in there. Winks will try his luck. That's deflected. And it just took a little bit of the pace out of it, and Clarkey could take a couple of steps to his left-hand side to make the save.
He's electric, isn't he, Mavididi, the way he steps onto that ball. But for me, he needs to release that earlier. He's almost trying to beat too many players. There is a half a yard there where I think he can get the shot off, but in the end it evades him because Ipswich do well just to crowd him.
Well, that's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, our EFL expert Adrian Clark with us as well here at the King Power. Clarky, what have you made of the opening 11 goalless minutes?
Well, it's been incredibly tactical, hasn't it? I'm fascinated by Ipswich Town's approach. It looks to me as if they've obviously got a 4-2-3-1 with Harness on the left, but he's really playing central when they don't have the ball. And Ipswich haven't had a great deal of the ball so far, so he's really tucking in. So they've got a box of 4 with Chaplin and Harness at the top of it, and that's how they're matching up 4v4 against Leicester. And now, when the keeper has the ball, they're going quite high. They're going man for man, and they're stopping the likes of Winks getting onto the possession easily. They're trying to force the goalkeeper to go long. On this occasion, they've bypassed it. But, yeah, I think that Kieran McKenna has adjusted his tactics tonight to negate Leicester City. And you've got to say, so far, so good, Jim.
Yep, just the one shot on target for Leicester so far. That was after a defensive error. Ipswich themselves yet to create anything in terms of an opportunity. Possession, like you're talking about it there, mid-60s for Leicester through the opening 13 minutes here on Talksport 2. It's still 0-0 and goalless as well over on Talksport between Brighton and Wolves. If you got the Talksport app, you can easily swipe left and swipe right and get all of the action from both games as it unfolds. Blonde-haired Wolfenden there to clear with an emphatic header. Ball out of play for a throw, which will be taken over on the Leicester right-hand side. And Dewsbury Hall works it back for Vestergaard. Wout Faes has got it now inside the centre circle. He's put under immediate pressure by Burns. His first touch was poor. His second became just a rescue job, really. Then he steers it straight out of play for what ultimately becomes a goal kick away to our left-hand side. I think McKenna will be the happier of the two managers so far, with a solid foundation laid by Ipswich Town.
Yeah, and it's really interesting as well, Wes Burn. You see his position, he is so wide, and there was a moment, it was earlier in the game, where they tried to find him over the back of Chowdhury, and he managed to recover, but it's a very interesting position, and if they can find it quickly, Ipswich, it's going to leave Leicester in a lot of trouble. But you see how wide they are as well, so it then potentially that makes for someone to be able to drop into the middle.
So Burns playing on the right-hand side, and Faes is keeping an eye on him, and he ostensibly is playing at centre-half. And Chowdhury in his really advanced and infield position. That's the area. We talked about how flooded the central midfield will be and that Leicester could have an advantage. So that means there's got to be space elsewhere. And that's where it will be for Ipswich, with the two centre-halves being stretched really wide and neither of them being blessed with a huge amount of pace. Cannon putting pressure on Gladkey, but he can clear, and now Burns will flick that on, and just for a moment he was goal side of Chowdhury, but Chowdhury came back. Mavadini in with a good challenge, thought that the throw was his, but it has come off him and not Burns last, and it's a Ipswich ball which will be taken on this near touchline by Clark with 14 minutes in here on Talksport 2. And Ipswich in all orange on what's a brisk night, but nothing like as cold as the nights of the last 7 days or so. It feels as though spring might be on its way in a few weeks' time. Just a little bit warmer. I'm getting shakes of the head around me, but it's warmer than it was in Blackpool last Wednesday, I promise you that.
We can live in hope, Jim.
Yeah, here's Leif Davis. Ball back towards halfway. Luongo's got it now. And Luongo playing it back inside his own half. Will find Wolfenden. And Wolfenden just playing it down towards Clark. Clark controlling it, sending it across to Edmondson. Edmondson to Luongo. Leif Davis is keeping a really high advanced position on the left-hand side for Ipswich. He squeezed the ball through the midfield there for Travis, and he only just got it past Ricardo, who'd read his intentions and very nearly got on the end of it, and he has got on the end of that one. They're ahead of Travis, so Ricardo making his way forward. Dewsbury Hall shows him where he wants it. Left-footed, he's scuttled the shot, and he's put it wide. A half chance for Leicester. By the standards he set himself this season, he'll be really disappointed that he couldn't at least work Gladkey there.
Yeah, he's not happy with that, and I think he's gesturing to Cannon as well, and I don't know whether he was trying to say that was a pass that he wants Cannon to go on to that, but certainly not. And as you say, Dewsbury Hall is pointing exactly where he wants it, and he just needs to stick his foot through that there for me. I think he gets caught in two minds of whether it's a pass or whether he's trying to side foot it, and for me, with the form that he's been in and looking at the replay, I do think he's trying to find Cannon, but there, he's just got to try and hit the target.
Now, there's action elsewhere. I told you it was 0-0 between Brighton and Wolves. A couple of games in Group B in the African Cup of Nations. The final group game in those section tonight. Cape Verde, 0-0 with Egypt. Ghana leading against Mozambique at the moment. So as things stand, Cape Verde would win the group. Ghana would finish second. Egypt would finish third. And would be hoping that they had one of the best third-place records. So we'll keep you up to date with all of the events as they unfold in the African Cup of Nations tonight. Tomorrow, incidentally, Michael Owen and his son James will be live in the studio with Jim White and Simon Jordan from 10:15 tomorrow morning over on Talksport, talking about their new documentary on TNT, generally talking football as well. That's James and Michael Owen in with White and Jordan tomorrow. The programme beginning at 10. Here's Dewsbury Hall turning it over in the midfield again. Chance for Cannon, well blocked by Wolfenden, who came across and got his right leg to the cross-come shot that was arrowing towards the top right-hand corner, Order McAteer. And he goes out of play for Leicester's first corner.
I tell you what, McAteer is not happy. He is absolutely livid with his teammate. He wants this cross back to him. Cut back first time. He's in the middle by himself about 7 yards out, and no wonder he's fuming.
17 gone 0-0. Just a few signs that Leicester are beginning to make inroads into Ipswich's penalty area with a little bit more conviction. 5 Leicester players attacking this corner, which has actually worked short towards Dewsbury Hall, who feigns to cross, lays it back for Mavididi instead, and he immediately looks up to the heavens as soon as he's hit that, because he knows that that's closer to the away fans than it is to their goal. Straight out of play for a goal kick. 18 minutes gone. Leicester 0, Ipswich 0. What's Enzo Maresca thinking, do you think?
I think he'll be fairly pleased, actually. It's interesting, though. I was watching Wout Fassing, one of the passages of play, and he was going right in with Connor Chaplin. Wes Burns was playing really wide off the right, and Chowdhury didn't see him at all on his back shoulder. If Ipswich can find that ball, the centre halves are so wide, it's incredible, and it's just about finding the right ball for Ipswich. And there, it's the long ball. It doesn't find anyone, and it plays right back into Leicester City's hands. But I do think they are there to be exploited tonight, Leicester.
Yeah, that's the pass they're looking for. So what had happened was Gladkey had the ball at his feet inside the penalty area of the goalkeeper, and he just pretty much stopped. And I'll tell you how it unfolded in a moment, because Leicester are immediately on the front foot themselves. Winks to Hamza Chowdhury. Chowdhury, Mavididi, that's a delicious turn around the corner. Ricardo Pereira, using the full length of the pitch, takes it down towards the corner flag. Mavididi has it again. Mavididi pulling it back. Fast, the tousle-haired Belgian. Forward towards Hamza Chowdhury. Chowdhury in towards the edge of the penalty area. Not the best ball for Pereira. He was on the stretch. Burns can pick it up for Ipswich, and he will bring it forwards. A little nutmeg of Chowdhury, and it'll continue. Winks comes across, and it goes out of play for an Ipswich throw. That previous passage of play, Ipswich has slowed it down to a stop inside their own penalty area, and they were just tempting Leicester to come forward and put the pressure on. And then as soon as it looked as though the first man was going to press, Edmondson sent a long, straight ball through the middle. The centre-halves are split so wide. It's a massive gap for any Ipswich player to try and run onto. The problem was the ball on that occasion was just too straight, and the starting position of the two wide men was too wide, so they couldn't get on the end of it. But that's clearly the avenue that they're looking to exploit.
Yeah, it is. And if one of the wide players then isn't going to dip into that space, they need a run from midfield, Ipswich. But it's incredible how wide Vestergaard and Fass are. They're almost at the edge of the 18-yard box, but sort of halfway in their own half. It's incredible how much space there is.
Fass with a little header. Winks is able to pick up the seconds in the midfield for Leicester. And Casey McAteer will bring the ball forward. He had a really good start to the season, then got injured, and has only just made his way back into the team. He's actually never scored on this ground, Casey McAteer. All 5 of his senior goals for Leicester have come away. Vestergaard plays it down to the Leicester right-hand side. Dewsbury Hall able to take the ball on the turn, slides it forward just too far ahead of Ricardo Pereira. And that one has beaten him and goes over the line and out of play for a goal kick. It's about the 4th time in the last 7 or 8 minutes that we've seen the Leicester body language where a pass has gone astray, and there have been a few recriminations.
They're not happy, and I like it initially from Dewsbury Hall. He takes it on his right foot, his back foot, on the spin. But then for me, the ball to Ricardo there isn't good enough. There was a little reverse ball that was on for Cannon, or you played the wider one to Mavididi.
Ipswich slowing it down again. Almost to a standstill inside their penalty area for Gladkey. Gladkey then working back towards Edmondson. And Edmondson will find Wolfenden. Luke Wolfenden, the Ipswich-born centre-half, one of 2 Ipswich-born players in this back 4 for the Tractor Boys. The right-back Harry Clark is the other. Leif Davis works it forward. Marcus Harness able to turn. Player that was brought in place of Nathan Broadhead tonight. And then Jackson making his way down the left-hand side of the penalty area was challenged by Vestergaard. Challenged fairly. As the ball goes out of play, it is going to be a Leicester throw. Adrian Clark, Talksport's EFL expert, with us. Clarky, it's a brilliant, engaging tactical battle, this. And Courtney's been talking about how Ipswich might be able to exploit Leicester, but the Fox is getting closer without the quality of the final ball at the other end.
Yeah, that's what's been missing for Leicester City so far in this first half. It is a battle between two very clever head coaches, isn't it? I know that Maresca's not on the touchline tonight, but you know, he's very intelligent, as is McKenna. I mean, the split strikers is fascinating. You know, Burns and Jackson so wide. There's basically no Leicester centre half. Now, what I would do if I was Wes Burns or a Caden Jackson, I'd look to make an angled run, driving inside either of those centre halves. The pass is on. Effectively, they've not really got a centre forward. They've got two wide forwards. Ipswich Town. It's engaging to watch. The irony is, both teams look more dangerous when they nick the ball off the other one. It's, you know, in possession, the other team are so well set up, so well prepped, that nothing is really happening. It's from turnovers where Ipswich and Leicester City look the more threatening.
Yeah, you'd never think that, would you? First against third, 105 goals between them over the course of this season, yet neither of them wants the ball. But that's how it's transpiring. It's absolutely fascinating encounter. It is still goalless. We're just past the midway stage of the first half here on Talksport 2 with Jim Bradford, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk and Adrian Clark here at the King Power tonight. Manson Manson all in black on the edge of his D. Into Chowdhury, really didn't want the ball under pressure from Connor Chaplin, and he briskly abdicated responsibility by knocking it back for his goalkeeper again. Now Fast will play it for Mavididi, controlling it, winks down towards Ricardo Pereira on the Leicester left, in front of the patrolling Kieran McKenna on the edge of his technical area. And McKenna, who's won 4 times as many games as he's lost as Ipswich boss, only 16 defeats in 111 games as the Ipswich manager. Here's Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall riding a slightly mistimed challenge. The referee says play on. Dewsbury Hall back on his feet. Left-footed ball inside the penalty area. Harness back for Chaplin between them. They've been able to sweep up and get it away for Ipswich. Looks as though it's going to be a close run thing for a moment, because when Leicester can get the bodies forward, they do so quickly. It must feel as just a wave of blue pressure coming on that orange-clad back line. Edmondson can play his way out, but again, the outball only finding Van Fast. Fast to his right-hand side in the midfield for Leicester's. McAteer plays it back for Winks. Justin waiting in space. And Winks finds him now. Dewsbury Hall turned around the corner very cleverly for Harry Winks. Ball over Ricardo Pereira, brought down by Mavididi, left-hand side of the penalty area. Steffi Mavididi tried to work the angle, he couldn't. Chowdhury! Good save. Diving away to his left-hand side. Hladky just got fingers to it to help it round the post. Would have been the best goal of Hamza Chowdhury's career, that.
Oh, it was a brilliant strike, and he's got his hands over his face. You can see he's sat there thinking, how is that not gone in? It's heading for that top right-hand corner. He's got bags of pace on it, but it's curling as well, and Hladky from absolutely nowhere gets the fingertips on it. That is a wonderful save.
I say it would have been the best goal of his career. He's only got 2 to beat, so from that point of view, maybe the bar isn't too high. That was a beautifully struck shot and a really good save. In comes Leicester's corner. They're second, looking for Vestergaard. Got a head to it, but not a great one. And Harness is going to be able to bring it away. Harness turning, retaining possession really well, and ultimately winning the throw off Yannick Vestergaard. A throw which will be taken on the Ipswich Town right-hand side. And Leicester's defensive record here, really impressive. They've only conceded 4 in the last 10 games here at the King Power. 2 of those came against Millwall. They've got the best attack and defence in the division. Ipswich, conversely, no problems scoring goals by and large, although they've dried up recently, but they've got the worst defensive record inside the top 6. And it is Leicester that are having almost the monopoly in terms of sights of goal so far. We're 26 minutes in. Leicester 0, Ipswich 0 it remains, and still 0-0 between Brighton and Wolves live right now over on Talksport. Yet again, the Talksport network gives you a choice of live listening tonight, and it's not just football, of course. A reminder, we'll bring you live an exclusive ball-by-ball commentary of England's 5-match test series in India here on Talksport 2. First test getting underway Thursday morning in Hyderabad, and the team will be on air from 3:45 a.m. I know you'll be with them. The ball is with Wes Burns on the Ipswich right-hand side, down by the byline. Inside the area, it hit Chowdhury and then fast clears. Back in from Travis. Harness trying to bring it down. Forced to play the way that he was facing. Luongo did well to rescue it in the congested midfield area and keep Ipswich in possession. Then Edmondson works it out towards the left for Leif Davis. Davis controlling the ball, chipping it forward. Jackson making a run out towards that left-hand side. He's playing on the left of the two split strikers. Davis will try and take on his man and get it across. Winks can't quite clear it. It falls Jackson's way, and then a left-footed effort curves over the bar from Chaplin. I think that's Ipswich's first real side of goal, 28 minutes in at 0-0.
Yeah, it is, and Chaplin, he's unlucky, really. You see, as soon as the ball comes to him, he's leaning back, and that's why it flies over the bar, but it's worked well, and it's the first time, really, that Ipswich have got Leif Davis involved, which, you know, for them, he's such a threat, an attacking threat going down that left-hand side, and it's one of the first times that he's won that battle with James Justin and got forward. But as well, Wes Burns on the other side, got the other side of Hamza Chowdhury, and he's certainly got the beating of him with pace, and if he can get that positioning right and they can find him Ipswich, it's certainly an outlet.
Well, they haven't scored a goal away from home in 218 minutes now since Sam Morsey netted in the win at Watford. 190 minutes coming into this game, back-to-back blanks on the road. Lovely ball forward down the Leicester right for McAteer. A Cannon making a run ahead of him. McAteer just tracing a path through the penalty area for a moment. Lays it back for Chowdhury. Winks. Now to Justin. Dewsbury Hall drifting out of that right-hand side. No real fixed position for him. He's so fluid. Across that line behind Tom Cannon. Very hard for Ipswich to pick him up. Leicester bringing it forward again. Winks wanted the ball into feet, but it's worked back instead towards Vestergaard. Fass has it now. He's just outside the centre circle. Justin will be able to bring it forward. Cannon waiting between the two Ipswich centre halves. Wolfenden has just passed him on. Leicester trying to work the opening, trying to get themselves into a position to put an effective cross inside the penalty area. Vestergaard, the deepest lying of all of the outfield players for Leicester, had to retrace his steps for a moment by about 5 or 6 yards because the ball from James Justin went in behind him. Still Leicester maintaining possession. And it's worked back through. Yannick Vestergaard again. Is he going to go back to his keeper? Yeah, he is. Just keeping things patient here, Leicester. The Manson to Vestergaard. Now to Chowdhury. To Vestergaard once more. And this is all inside Leicester territory. Just trying to draw Ipswich onto them for the moment. The tractor boys not fooled by that. Allowing Leicester easy possession when they've got the ball at the back. There's no sign of an intense press by and large. Jackson now will push forward, but Vestergaard able to work it via his goalkeeper towards Wout Fass. Tom Cannon drops deep, and he'll take it down towards the Leicester left-hand side. Cannon working it back towards Fass. A fourth successive start for Cannon today. No Daka or Iheanacho at the moment, of course, and Vardy only fit enough for a place on the bench. Mavididi getting it in. It's turning for an own goal. Leicester have the breakthrough. Well, it was an own goal that settled this the last time the two sides met. And 4 weeks on, it's Leif Davis that turns into his own net as Mavididi broke down the left-hand side of the penalty area, sent in an decisive cross. It's hit Davis and gone in, and Leicester deservedly have the advantage.
Yeah, and they were very patient in this build-up, Leicester, keeping the ball for a number of passes. There's a lovely little 1-2 between Mavididi and Pereira in the build-up, but what I love about this is Mavididi, he just puts it in a dangerous area. I think sometimes Leicester in his first, 32 minutes have been guilty of overplaying, but not there. Just put it in an area, cause a little bit of chaos. It doesn't matter whether it comes off an Ipswich player or a Leicester player, as long as it goes in the back of the net. And it's unlucky, really unlucky for Davis there. He can't get himself out of the way, but it's good build-up play from Leicester City and deserved to be 1-0 ahead.
He was running back towards his own goal. He tried to put the brakes on. The ball hit his right knee and Cannon into his left leg and went in. He just couldn't stop. And Leicester have a 1-0 lead. They led the last time the two sides met. Mavididi, the goal scorer, at around this stage of the game, a little bit earlier in the first half, but not by much. Ipswich found a way back in on that occasion, but they've got to do it the hard way again today. Leicester, such a good record from 1-0 up this season. Of that game that they led for 70 minutes at Portman Road, one of only 3 all season in which they've scored first that they haven't gone on to win. I want to tell you that they've gone 1-0 up on 21 separate occasions. It shows just how good they are at killing teams off from this position. Work for Ipswich to do, but they have taken more points than anybody else in the division this season from losing positions. Wes Burns bringing the ball forward down the right-hand side. The Welsh international couldn't get too far. Hamza Chowdhury slides in and puts it out of play for a throw that Clark will take. Now 12 minutes to go to half-time. Adrian Clark with us. Clarky, what did you make of the goal and the patterns of play that led up to it?
Yeah, I was just thinking that Leicester hadn't really got their wide players involved in the game enough. You know, a lot of them played centred around the middle. Yeah, I've seen Mavididi play so many times. He's a sensational left winger. And it was clever because Clark had been drawn in field and Winks just slipped a beautiful little pass to Mavididi, and that was enough, really. He just had the space he needed to slide the ball into a dangerous area. And I just think the hands of Hladky just made it impossible, really, for Leif Davis to get out of the way. But you can't argue that this isn't a fair scoreline at this stage of the game. It's going to be interesting to see whether Ipswich opt to just sort of stay in the game for now, which I think they will do, and then maybe switch things up a little bit later on in the game when they go in search of that equaliser.
Yeah, no need for them to gamble yet, Courtney.
No, I don't think so, and you see the way that they've started the game as well. Yes, they've pressed at times and they've gone player for player at the back, but I think they've been fairly pragmatic, and I think they'll be happy with the fact that when it's gone a little bit wider and they've found that ball, they've sort of gotten in behind. I know they've not created too much, but the blueprint for the pattern of play is certainly there, and it looks like it will work when they elect to sort of then flip that switch and be more aggressive with it.
So Leif Davis' own goal on 31 minutes, the difference between these two teams. We've played 34 now. And the ball just headed on by Cannon. That's going to keep Wolfenden honest. He will have to come back and play it down by his own corner flag. His clearance just got over the head of Mavididi. It's picked up on the left by James Justin. Back from him for Chowdhury. And Chowdhury back to his goalkeeper, who hasn't had a save to make yet, and he sweeps up just outside his own box. So Wout Faes has it now. So as the table stands, it's a 10-point lead at the top. Mavididi, bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area. Twisting and turning and trying to find a way through. He hasn't quite been able to do that. The two Ipswich players both thought that Mavididi got the last touch and elected to let the ball run out of play for a throw. But the referee said it is a Leicester ball because he was fouled. It was Clark and Travis between them who got him. So all the time that it's 1-0, Ipswich will feel that they have the ability to be able to get back into this. If they were to concede a second goal in quick succession, bearing in mind that they've twice been hit for 4 by Leeds this season, you just wonder whether that would be a psychological blow that might be a little bit too much to take. Dewsbury Hall stands over this free kick with Harry Winks there as well. A couple of yards in from the left-hand touchline, then it's 7 adrift of the dead ball line. So could be Winks with his right, could be Dewsbury Hall with his left. Vestergaard is forward, Faes is there as well. Ipswich defending zonally, a line of 6 on the edge of the 6-yard box. Dewsbury Hall with an outswing, it's easily headed away. Comes out for McAteer, and his left-footed effort deflects away and out of play for a corner.
Yeah, don't mind that from Ipswich, though. They know where they're defending, and that line of 6, and it's 7 in the end when they dropped in, and then what they made sure is they got out as a unit, and the deflection. Yes, they don't want to give away the corner, but the fact they've got bodies in front of the ball to stop the shot on goal.
So Dewsbury Hall will go out to take the corner, and this will be an in-swinger this time. That free kick from him was an away swinger. And they got 2 right in front of the goalkeeper, Leicester, including Chowdhury. Fast making a run in. Vestergaard is there, but the header straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. Either side of him, Clark, he might have been struggling. And Vestergaard met it clean. He didn't really get maximum power on it. And Clark was able to stick his hands up and make a relatively comfortable save in the end. We've got 8.5 to go to half-time. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0 here on Talksport 2. And Clacky brings the ball to the edge of the D. If Ipswich were to lose this, it would be only their 50 defeat in 50 games in all competitions over best part of a year. Mavididi scoops one over the top, doesn't quite find Ricardo Pereira. He's got a second opportunity though, lays it back instead for Winks. Winks past the retreating Jackson to find Justin, out for McAteer. Casey McAteer 10 yards outside the penalty area. Justin takes over. Now it goes out towards Dewsbury Hall. Great shape on that ball. Cannon was lurking. And as it dropped for Ricardo, he slatches at it and slices it wide.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where he had to get that shot off quickly because the defenders are bearing down. And his first touch was good, actually. Almost too good in a way, because then you see he's trying to get the shot off with his left foot. He's under him a little bit. But Leicester, you just feel that they're turning the screw now. Yes, the momentum's been with them for most of the game, but looking more dangerous with every attack. But for Ipswich, for me, they've got to go in at the half 1-0. If not, it's effectively game over.
Tomorrow on Wednesday, we've got the second legs of the 2 League Cup semi-finals for you over on Talksport. Chelsea, Middlesbrough tomorrow, Fulham, Liverpool Wednesday night. With the home side looking to overturn a 1-goal deficit on both occasions. We'll also be bringing you 9 FA Cup commentaries across the Talksport network this week. They'll get underway on Friday, and on Sunday we've got live and exclusive to national radio commentary of Newport County against Manchester United from Rodney Parade. The FA Cup 4th round, our coverage beginning with both Spurs against Manchester City and Chelsea against Villa on Friday night on TalkSport and TalkSport 2 respectively. Big game in the Championship tonight, 1-0 to Leicester. They deserve to be ahead. Ball played for by Cannon. McAteer knows he's offside, makes no attempt to play it. A ball goes back for the Ipswich goalkeeper Clacky, who chips it through the midfield over Chaplin. Haven't been able to get him in the game at all so far, Connor Chaplin. And Clark will clear it down the Ipswich right-hand side and out of play for a throw which will be taken on the Leicester left.
Trying to find that gap though. Ipswich, there's been a couple of times now. Luongo made the deep run through the middle. Wes Burns, he was starting wide, and then he's made that darting run through the middle. So they're recognising now, Ipswich, that space is there to be exploited, but the quality on the ball so far just hasn't been good enough.
Mavididi. Now be played forward. Luongo sliding in. The referee is already found in Leicester's favour. They haven't had a shot on target so far. They've drawn a blank in 3 of the last 5 games. There's a massive disparity between their productivity at home and away. At home, Ipswich 35 goals in 14 games. That's 2.5 a game. Away, 15 in 13. That's barely a goal a game. They've got it now, though, with Burns after Chowdhury got caught out in the midfield. Burns into a dangerous area, but too close to Hermansen. Jackson can't get there, and it's a comfortable take with 5 minutes to go to half-time for the Leicester City goalkeeper. What do they need to do more of to bring the likes of Chaplin into the game here?
Well, they've got to play higher up. I think, yes, there's a time and a place for sitting back and almost letting Leicester City come onto you and play in a low block, I would say, but that's the problem. For example, then when it breaks there with Wes Burns, he's only got one really to aim at, so they've got to get higher. They've got to support those 2 wide players. Chaplin, he's being followed everywhere by Wout Faes, so maybe you even need to exploit that and make some dummy runs to open the space up for someone else.
Now Ipswich have played it down the line past Vestergaard. Jackson with the ball in that wasn't the best. Chaplin was his target, who was easily cleared, and then McAteer has covered an awful lot of ground to get back and aid the defensive cause, and he slams it upfield.
I think that's the final one as well, Jim. There have been openings for Ipswich, but then the quality on the pass hasn't been good enough, so that's what they've got to make sure they've really got to shape up on and get bodies around those 2 wide forwards.
Ball's back with Cladkeys just outside the penalty area. Right-footed, just chipped forward. And almost painted by numbers there. Vestergaard just heads it away, and Justin sweeps it back to his goalkeeper. Leicester have very quickly got possession back. We were talking earlier about the amount of possession. It's stayed pretty constant, actually. I would have thought it might have gone up in Leicester's favour. It's about 60-40 at the moment. But they've had a greater potency, a better sharpness about them, Leicester, when they've had it. Here's Dewsbury Hall bringing it forward now. Luongo trying to win it back, can't on the edge of the area. Left-footed shot from McAteer, whistles over the top left-hand corner, but Clarkey knew he had it covered. He's had a play for a goal kick, but Leicester 3 minutes away from a half-time advantage, and they would be a very good value for that.
Yeah, they would, and I don't mind that as well from Dewsbury Hall. Everyone's thinking he's going to play it out wide to left-hand side to Mavididi, but at the last minute, cuts back in the reverse ball out to McAteer, and I think as soon as he gets his first touch wrong, really, it doesn't set him up very well for the shot. You can't blame him for taking it on, but as you mentioned, Jim, I think Leicester are a great value for themselves right now, and you wouldn't put it past them getting another one just before half-time. That's how it feels, the way that the game is swinging at the moment.
Mavididi trying to nutmeg Clark. Ipswich win it back and work it down the line. It's a very clever turn from Burns. Jackson coming onto it, and then coming in behind him was Vestergaard. And it's hit Vestergaard. Didn't know too much about it, but it went some way wide in the end. But it will be an Ipswich corner. They had one in the opening 20 seconds. They haven't had one since. But now an opportunity to flood the penalty area, and bearing in mind how little they've seen of the Leicester defensive third, this is the kind of opportunity, Courtney, they've got to try and make the most of.
Yeah, it's massive, and I love that run from Jackson, by the way, because he starts in front of Vestergaard, then he comes off the back shoulder, and at the last minute, as Wes Byrne puts the ball in, he comes straight in front of him again. It's a really good, neat passage of play from Ipswich.
A corner which will be taken on the Ipswich right, much better than the first one. It's headed away, though, by Ricardo Pereira. Brought back down play to Wolfenden. Wolfenden chipped forward. Leif Davis heading it down. Couldn't find Burns, and it'll be clear down the Leicester left-hand side. Wolfenden had to make sure that he met that cleanly on the half volley, with Cannon making life difficult for him. Clark gave Wolfenden a something or nothing ball in the midfield, but he's done well to react to it. No foul by Fass on Chaplin, who's not happy. McAteer will try and drive through the middle, but the pass to him was too heavy. And Wolfenden lays it back for his goalkeeper. And Edmondson's going to be able to play out from the back for Ipswich. Chaplin was absolutely incandescent there. He's convinced that he was fouled. And Leicester convinced that he dived. Here's Fass going down. He just stumbled inside the penalty area. Still got it back for Ricardo Pereira. He doesn't shoot. Cannon does. Good save. Fass on the follow-up was offside.
Yeah, what a strange passage of play, really. But this is, wow, Fass. He hasn't left Chaplin alone, and the fact that, for me, wasn't a foul. It almost just inside the Leicester half, and then he follows him in. The ball goes into Chaplin, and he wins it fast, and there's a little interplay between him and Mavididi. He sits the defender down, but then slips himself. It's so unfortunate, and the shot comes in, and it's saved really well by Hladky, and Fass is offside by that point. But that's probably why you don't have defenders in that position, because they just lose the feet.
Yeah, it was a great tackle, wasn't it, on him by the invisible man. He made no attempt to claim that he was fouled. He just lost his footing as he tried to turn. As if he tried to do it on a frozen lake.
Too high, bit of altitude sickness, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like watching me play. Dewsbury Hall through the middle. Out towards the right-hand side. Apart from the fact it would take me half an hour to get up, of course. Here's Chowdhury. Back for Fass. We're in the closing seconds of the first half. There will be a little bit of time to be added on, but not an awful lot. Fourth official Andrew Kitchen indicates just 1 extra minute. Dewsbury Hall's got the ball. He's over on the Leicester right-hand side, midway inside Ipswich territory. It's been dispossessed. High ball over the top from Harness. Burns will chase after it, and he's going to get there ahead of Yannick Vestergaard. Just waiting for the cavalry to arrive and get forward with him. Right-footed effort sails over the bar. And by the time the goal kick is taken, we'll be just about at the end of the first half. We're still hanging in the balance. Leicester, as we've been saying, deserved to have the advantage, albeit that it came in fortuitous circumstance. Good ball in from Mavididi, but it hit the retreating Leif Davis and went in. Not too many chances being created by either side, but there was one wonderful save from Clarkey to deny Hamza Chowdhury. And Manson, with his eye on the clock, has slowed down the taking of this goal kick, which is the last kick of the first half, which ends with Leicester, for now at least, having a 10-point advantage at the top of the Championship. Set fair for their 9th win in 11 games in all competitions after the Leif Davis own goal. Ipswich may well have seen in the opening 45 minutes how they can get back into this game, but knowing what they want to do and being able to do it, often two completely different things. At the break, Leicester 1, Ipswich 0.
Well, Courtney, we've got a high-intensity start to that game, and these two sides we felt maybe would feel their way into it. Not really for Leicester City, who've kind of dominated in that first period. What have you made of the way that they went about their business?
Yeah, I think it's good for the fans to see that Leicester City start being a little bit faster than it usually is, and I think that's probably a little bit of credit to Ipswich as well. I think they knew, Leicester, that this was such an important game for the title race, and they wanted to get the noses in front rather quickly. I mean, I know it waited till the latter half of that first half, but I think they were very aggressive from the outset, and wanted to really put pressure on Ipswich early on, which they did extremely well.
Dewsbury Hall really should have finished off an opportunity. He blamed Tom Cannon. I don't know if it was a pass. It really felt like a shot, but it was a good chance for Leicester. Hamza Chowdhury forced a good save from Hladky in the Ipswich goal from distance as well. And then the goal itself came, really. And you have to feel for Leif Davis and for Leicester too, because it was the kind of move that they would have loved to see finished off by a blue shirt. They won't care. They went ahead. What did you make of the goal itself?
Yeah, I think it was a really neat passage of play, the little 1-2, and I think Adrian mentioned it in comms in terms of actually using the strength that Leicester City have got, because it was aggressive in the middle of the park for both teams for a lot of that first half, but they didn't really use the width of Leicester City, and that's where they're so strong. So actually getting Mavadidi involved to the latter end of that half was imperative for Leicester to get their noses in front, and I loved it. Yeah, of course you want one of your own players get on the end of it, but the fact is, in wide areas, I think when I was playing and I was a centre forward, just put the ball in a good area and I'll do the rest, or put it in a good area and cause some chaos. It doesn't matter who it goes in off, it just matters that it goes in, and I think that's really important, because there was a couple of times earlier on in that half where I think Mavadidi was trying to do a little bit too much, beat one too many players, whereas that, I think he releases the ball at the perfect time and they get the rewards for it, Leicester.
Just looking ahead to that second half, Kieran McKenna and Ipswich, how do you think he will be feeling after their first half?
I think he'll be disappointed at times with the lack of quality on the ball. I think that the game plan was quite obvious. They weren't going to go and high press Leicester. They sort of sat in a low block, and there were times where they nicked it off them where they could. There's obviously the width is working for me. It's just the run off the ball. So a couple of times now later in that half, Wes Byrne, he's got through the middle, he started wide, and then he's spun in. Luongo it was only once, but he made a run from deep through the centre of the pitch. So I think in terms of where you can exploit Leicester, you can see that will work, because Vestergaard and Fast don't want fast players running at them. It's as simple as that. The way that as well Chowdhury's playing, he's quite high, so he's not getting involved in that defensive duel really if the ball's right, because it bypasses him. So I think Ipswich, they've shown that they know how to beat Leicester tactically. It's just the completion of the passes to the right quality hasn't been there.
Will they come out a little bit more in the second half, because the next goal obviously all important?
Yeah, it's important. Do I think they'll go hell for leather in the first 10 minutes? Probably not, because if they go 2-0 down early on, I think that sort of puts the fire out completely. So I think they'll be maybe a little bit pragmatic first 5 or 10 minutes, and then really start going for it, trying to probe Leicester, stay in the game, and then, as I mentioned, exploit those areas that they've found with a little bit better quality.
Well, it's been an absorbing first half at the King Power Stadium. As it stands, Leicester going 10 points clear at the top of the table. Ipswich missing out on a return to the automatic promotion spots in the Championship. But there's a long way to go. A big 45 minutes live next on Talksport 2.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the Premier League and the English Football League. EFL Live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Fancy some extra fries for extra time? Order McDelivery now on the McDonald's app and get tasty reward points delivered too. 18 plus. Rewards account required. Participating restaurants. Subject to availability. Delivery fees and terms apply.
It's the UK's biggest used car sale, with savings on over 20,000 used cars. It's Arnold Clark's only sale of the year. The real sale is back. It's the sale you don't want to miss. Nobody does it bigger. Nobody does it better. The Arnold Clark Real Sale is now on. For stock verification and to find the car you're looking for, visit arnoldclark.com.
Get that Euro Millions feeling with this Friday's £110 million super jackpot. So super, you've got to dance. So let's dance like never before. On a beach, on your own private island. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Play on app. Estimated jackpot. Subject to currency fluctuations. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Put the pedal to the metal and turn on Talksport 2 for On Track, the only dedicated motorsport show on UK radio. It's your weekly pit stop of expert opinion and dynamic double-declutch debate, previewing all the upcoming races and bringing you the latest breaking news from across the global grids. Make sure you stay on track every Tuesday afternoon from 4 on Talksport 2 with Formula E,
the world's first all-electric racing series. Check out FIAFormulaE.com for where to watch.
Talksport 2, official broadcast partner of the EFL. Wednesday night,
the League Cup live
on Talksport.
He fires it at beauty.
Midweek matchup.
Fulham versus Liverpool.
Coverage from 7, kick-off 8 p.m.
It's a sensational goal.
Wednesday night.
Night Vision Football
on Talksport.
On Track, tomorrow afternoon from 2 on Talksport 2. Keep ahead of all the action in the world of motorsports.
He's shown that you don't need to win from pole position.
Extended hard-revving roundups, in-depth racing analysis, and big-name interviews.
If I'd gone 1.5 tenths slower, I would have been P10 on the grid. So it's so tight.
Talksport 2 rounds up the biggest stories and the latest racing rumors.
Championship points are more vital than ever.
On Track, tomorrow afternoon from 2 on Talksport 2.
Talksport Podcast League. Outspoken. The best of White and Jordan.
White versus Jordan. Now with added time.
Simon and I have a difference of opinion on this, as we do on various things.
When the mics go live, the gloves come off.
That wasn't a proper fight. That was a tune-up.
Oh, no. Come on. Opinionated debate as combat sport.
And most of these teams have underachieved.
Outspoken.
Listen or download for free on the Talksport app.
My goodness, who could argue?
On your phone, on your smart speaker.
Or from your favourite podcast portal.
EFL Live on Talksport 2.
The chance for Ipswich to keep them sweating, blow the race open and move back within 4 points of the summit themselves. These are the nights that Talksport 2 was made for. Steffi Mavididi tried to work the angle, he couldn't. Chowdhury, good save. Diving away to his left-hand side. Hladky just got fingers to it to help it round the post. Vardy only fit enough for a place on the bench. Mavididi getting it in. It's turned in for an own goal. Leicester have the breakthrough. Well, it was an own goal that settled this. The last time the two sides met. And 4 weeks on, it's Leif Davis that turns into his own net. As Mavididi broke down the left-hand side of the penalty area, sent in an decisive cross. It's hit Davis and gone in. And Leicester deservedly have the advantage.
Well, it was the first defeat in 12 for the Foxes last time out against Coventry, but their fans have got the response they've wanted so far in that first half. They lead Ipswich by 1-0, a Leif Davis own goal, but it came off the back of a lovely move from Enzo Maresca's side. And it means, as it stands, Leicester will be moving 10 points clear at the top of the Championship table. We'll see if Kieran McKenna and his Ipswich side have some response in the second half. The next 45 minutes on the way very, very soon. I should tell you, we do have some live and exclusive Premier League action for you over on Talksport this evening. 5 minutes into the second half at the Amex. Brighton 0, Wolves 0 in the Premier League. You can listen to it, of course, on DAB. Download the TalkSport app as well. It's there on your smart speaker. Just ask for TalkSport. Tomorrow, live on TalkSport, we're going to bring you live commentary of the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg between Chelsea and Middlesbrough. A place in the final up for grabs in that one. Now, after his side lost at the Riverside in the first leg, there were big question marks over the Chelsea boss, Mauricio Pochettino. He's emphasised the importance of a victory tomorrow.
To score goals and to defend in some action that the opponent is going to force you to defend close to your goal is to be strong and to be also in a good shape. And I think we were all disappointed, but we have 90 minutes, to fix the situation and try to win. We need to respect, because we are going to respect the opponent. They are going to be tough, but I think it's a massive chance for us to have the possibility to go to the final and to fight for a title.
Adrian Durham with you from 7 p.m. tomorrow on Talksport to see if Pochettino's Chelsea can get past Middlesbrough at Stamford Bridge. Jim Proudfoot and the former England captain Stuart Pearce with you for that one. We will also have the game coming up on Wednesday night between Fulham and Liverpool. Let's quickly hear, though, from the other camp in that Chelsea-Middlesbrough tie. I should have said the Borough boss Michael Carrick, potentially 90 minutes away from a Wembley final. He says the squad are feeling fresh. They're ready for the challenge that awaits at the Bridge.
Squad's feeling good. Preparation's been short. That's fine. I think we're kind of in the rhythm of training and playing games, and it's kind of business as usual in many ways, you know, in terms of rest and recovering and preparing and getting the balance right. But obviously, you know, as a group, boys are hugely looking forward to the game, and it's a great challenge for us, but a great one to embrace and take on. We certainly expect the best version of them. I think we know what we're walking into. I think we got a big boost and a lot of confidence from the first game, but that's kind of as far as it goes. You know, we know what we're getting into. We know what we're coming to face, and individual quality, and a team that's well coached and collectively very strong. So we know all that. You know, we're not getting ahead of ourselves at all on that. But certainly from the first game and the Aston Villa game of competing against teams of that level, the boys have handled it very well, and be looking forward to doing it again.
Should be another fascinating tie. Middlesbrough looking to hold on to a 1-goal advantage. The same is true of Liverpool as they head to Fulham on Wednesday night. That is live for you on Talksport. I should just bring you up to date with some of the scores ongoing this evening at the Africa Cup of Nations. Cape Verde lead Egypt by 1-0. Of course, no Mo Salah for Egypt. In the same group, as it stands in Group B, Ghana lead Mozambique by 1-0 as well. Chris Hughton's Ghana, of course. It means at the moment that Cape Verde and Ghana would be going through automatically. Finalists last time out, Egypt would be finishing third in the group. Now, they don't definitely go out, but with 2 points amassed thus far, if they don't get something out of this game, they could easily be one of the worst third-place teams. The host Ivory Coast will also have to rely on other results to avoid a shock exit in the group stage. They were thrashed 4-0 by Equatorial Guinea earlier. Huge upset in Abidjan. They finished third in their group. The 4 best third-place sides across the 6 groups go into the last 16. Nigeria, by their victory earlier on, have joined Equatorial Guinea in the knockout stages. They had a 1-0 win over Guinea-Bissau. And just to let you know about some of the upcoming commentaries across the network here, Talksport 2, Wednesday night, exclusively in the Championship. Important game for Leeds and Norwich in terms of their playoff hopes. Ian Danter and the former Leeds manager Neil Redfern with you for that. We will have 9 FA Cup 4th round ties for you across the Talksport network. Starts on Friday night here on Talksport 2 at Chelsea hosting Aston Villa. Quick turnaround from that Carabao Cup semi-final. A big one over on Talksport, the tie of the round as Spurs host Manchester City. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff. On Saturday on Talksport 2, we'll have Ipswich against Maidstone, a 12:30 kickoff. At 3 o'clock, it's Everton against Luton. And on Talksport, Game Day Live with Adrian Durham at 2:30. All the goals as they go in. At 7 p.m. on Talksport, it will be Fulham against Newcastle in the FA Cup. 3 games on Talksport on Sunday. West Brom against Wolves, 11:45 for that one. At 2:30, Liverpool against Norwich. And at 4:30, Newport against Manchester United. Fingers crossed for County in that one. For most of you, I'm a Man United fan, but, you know, we all like the magic of the Cup, etc., etc., etc. Right, let's head back to the King Power Stadium. The action getting underway very, very shortly. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk is there. Courtney, what are you expecting to see, particularly at the start of this second half? You said you didn't expect Ipswich to go hell for leather. Okay, understand that. But do you expect Kieran McKenna to make some tactical changes here?
I don't know whether it's so much of tactical changes, because I think actually the tactics are right. I think it's just reinforcing those technical details to his players to get in behind, because, as I say, I think the tactics are working. It's just the passes aren't there, they aren't good enough. And I think, I still stand by what I say. I don't think they'll go hell for leather, but the longer it goes on, and if they keep Leicester at bay, then there's got to be a turning point where they've got to try and go for it and try and get themselves back into the game.
And for Leicester City, more of the same, I imagine.
Yeah, of course it is. I think the only thing that will disappoint Enzo Maresca is the fact they've not scored more goals, because they've created so many very good opportunities. They've got the ball in decent areas in the final third quite a lot, but probably that last sort of pass is lacking aside from the Mavididi cross. So I think it's just about scoring more goals with the opportunities that they've created.
Well, the Ipswich players just coming out all in orange, of course, this evening. A few words from Connor Chaplin, who's got the armband on this evening. And they just showed a statistic here on the TV that shows 4 of the top 5 players with the fewest touches in that first half were wearing an Ipswich shirt. So they certainly need to be more involved in the general play if they're to get themselves back into this game. And we shall see exactly when this game does kick off, if they are able to do that. I will leave you for the second half as the players take on a few more fluids before we get back underway with Talksport's Jim Proudfoot, who's alongside Courtney Sweetman-Kirk.
Hugh, thank you very much indeed. Well, remember that Ipswich have taken more points from losing positions this season than anybody else. 20 in all, including 3 against Sunderland last time out, and 1 the last time that these two sides met. Now, Leicester have such an impressive record when they've been ahead at half-time in games over the course of this season. We're back underway. Leicester kicking from left to right in all blue, and Ipswich in all orange, really quick out of the traps in the first half, but not so much in this second, although James Justin has just let the ball run out of play for a throw, which will be taken quickly. Chaplin trying to head it on, will get to the byline and hook it back in, and it's off Vestergaard. They had a corner inside the opening 15 seconds of the first half. It's taken 22 seconds to get a corner in the second period, Ipswich Town, who trail to that Leif Davis own goal on 31 minutes. This their third corner. Edmondson coming forward for it, and he'll take up station by the penalty spot. Corner is worked short for Massimo Luongo, driven in by the Australian, then headed back across the face of goal. At least that was the intention from Clark, but got it all wrong. And leaning backwards, he's just headed it over the bar from a tight angle and straight out of play. These are teams, Manson in goal for Leicester. Real hybrid formation as far as they're concerned. Justin on the right, Vestergaard and Fast, the nominal centre halves. Chowdhury at left back has been playing infield most of the time, with Ricardo Pereira and Winks in the centre of midfield. McAteer wide on the right, Mavididi on the left, and Dewsbury Hall in support of Cannon up front. Ipswich, Clanky in goal, Clark, Wolfen and Edmondson and Davis. Travis and Luongo in the centre of midfield. Burns and Jackson, really wide split strikers. And Chaplin and Harness are complementing them, pushing forward from attacking midfield positions. Here's Dewsbury Hall. He's tried an intricate 1-2 with Mavididi on the edge of the penalty area. And Ipswich ultimately with a free kick, as the challenges were coming in from all directions just outside the penalty area. A couple of minutes gone second half. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0. I'm delighted to say Courtney Sweetman-Kirk is alongside me.
Just watching, I think Luongo there, he wanted to play that wide ball out to Burns, who wasn't actually looking. So I do think that now Ipswich, after that chat at half-time with McKenna, they are looking to go a little bit more direct, find those open channels. It's not quite as wide, though, at the moment, but Wes Burns is doing really well. I think he's been really intelligent with his runs, getting behind Hamza Chowdhury and putting the thought in the mind of Vestergaard, do I go, do I stay? It's just about finding the quality to him.
It remains 0-0 between Brighton and Wolves, which is still live for you right now over on Talksport. Vestergaard put under pressure, nearly losing it on the edge of his penalty area to Jackson. And Dewsbury Hall come up in the centre of midfield. Then a little shove by Leif, or on Leif Davis by McAteer, who fell to the ground and picked up the ball before the referee's whistle had gone. Just trying to not con, because it was a foul, but trying to make sure that Josh Smith realised he was fouled. Now the referee has given a free kick Ipswich's way. So they've got 6 forward around the edge of the penalty area, and every Leicester player is back. It's a one-man wall, and that's McAteer. Mavididi stands on the edge of the penalty area. Everybody else in the box. Left-footed, it's into a dangerous area, looking for a little diving header from Connor Chaplin on the corner of the 6-yard box. And it goes out of play for a corner.
Yeah, and it just shows this is where Leicester City have got to be a little bit more switched on, a little bit less naive, as McAteer was there, because we know that Davis has got fantastic delivery with his left foot, and you don't want to be giving too many set pieces to Ipswich. Chaplin doing really well to throw himself at the ball, but just can't get a contact on it.
So Leif Davis to take this corner, raises his right arm, left-footed away swinger, headed away again by Vestergaard, and straight out of play for another corner. There was just an isolated roar from the Ipswich fans there. So they felt that some of the jockeying for position that was going on inside the penalty area was a little bit over-physical. The referee keeping an eye on it, and they'll do it all again. Ipswich ahead on the corner count now. Third of the early stages of the second half. That one's cleared. Luongo slices it square. Back in from Clark. Coming onto it is Burns. Good save. Goalkeeper got a hand to it. Tipped it over the bar. All Ipswich at the start of the second period. Wes Burns closer than any Ipswich player before him to scoring.
Yeah, and it's fantastic again from Wes Burns. The way he timed his run. I think Vestergaard he's trying to say he's offside. I don't know how. He's definitely a good couple of yards onside. It's a good strike as well. Awkward angle. Just trying to guide it towards goal and forces a really good save from Hermansen.
He's only scored one goal in his last 37 away games. Wes Burns, not too far away there. In comes another corner. And that one's headed away easily by Vestergaard. Back into the fray from Travis. Flicked off by Jackson. And Clark cuts across it and fires it over the bar. Now Leicester just with an opportunity to have a little bit of a breather, because Ipswich have flown out of the traps in the second period.
Yeah, it's been a really good start from them, and the way that they've changed in terms of, you know, the first half, that first corner, it was really poor and it almost set the tone, whereas in the second half, that early first corner, again, it means it's a good ball in, they kept the pressure on, and it's just put Leicester City, I think it's just put a little bit of doubt in their mind initially, because they've got a little bit higher as well, Ipswich, with the press, and happy to go after Leicester.
Jackson putting the pressure on here. Leicester will play it from the goalkeeper Hermansen out to Vestergaard twice, but men in orange really chasing with a great intent now. Harness almost able to win it back. Dewsbury Hall's got it. Justin Dewsbury Hall taking it on. Oh, there's brilliant quick feet from Dewsbury Hall. And he got round Travis. McAteer ends up winning a throw. Well, they played out quite beautifully on that occasion. It's clearly a very high-risk tactic. But Dewsbury Hall made it look easy. Throw to Leicester on halfway. They lead 1-0. They've had the advantage for the last 20 minutes of the game. Poor throw from Justin, which just bounced straight to Travis, who played more than 200 games for Blackburn before making his move recently. It's only his second Ipswich Town appearance today. Made his debut against Sunderland last week. Throw taken by Justin on the Leicester right, and it'll be followed by another. Luongo's put that out of play. It's part of Kieran McKenna's game plan to use the full depth of the squad where he can. More than a lot of other managers, he will have premeditated substitutions in mind. He likes to change his forwards and rotate en masse where he can. Not so easy with the injuries and absences that he's got at the moment, the likes of George Hurst being out for the rest of the season. He is in the market for another striker. There's plenty of talk about both Jay Stansfield of Fulham, currently on loan at Birmingham, and also Kiefer Moore of Bournemouth as being players that Ipswich are interested in. It'll be interesting to see over the next week or so who ends up in Suffolk for this promotion push. Leicester have got the ball at the moment. Mavadini's done brilliantly. Gets it back from Ricardo Pereira. Now, can he pick someone out in the centre? The answer is no, as he drives it in towards the near post. It's hit the blonde-haired Wolfenden and goes behind for a Leicester corner.
Yeah, and Ipswich have got away with one there. I think Pereira has got to do better with the decision-making. Dewsbury Hall, for me, on the edge of the box, is in acres of space, is the one that you've got to find. It's a poor cutback in the end.
So a corner that Leicester will take on their left. Chowdhury standing inside the 6-yard box. Vestergaard and Fass both making runs in towards the far post. Wolfenden heads it down straight into the back of teammate Travis, and it ricochets away for another corner. That could have been worse from an Ipswich perspective, because it could have gone anywhere after the initial header cannoned back off his teammate, but it went to safety, or relative safety, out for another corner. 8 gone second half, 1-0 Leicester. Better corner this time, just evades Chowdhury. Hits an Ipswich player on the way through, and it'll be a third corner in quick succession. This one will be taken on the right flank. Ipswich struggling to deal with these.
Yeah, they are, and it's a really good whip ball in, and Chowdhury looks for all the world like he's just going to nod that in, but somehow at the last minute, he just can't seem to crane his neck enough to get onto it.
This is the 7th corner we've had in the opening 9 minutes of the second half. Ipswich won 4 in quick succession. Now Leicester have had a run of 3. And just as Dewsbury Hall was coming forward to take it, the referee has asked him to stop. Who's he pulling out of the 6-yard box here? Cannon is being spoken to. And someone else is being asked to come out as well. Gladkey, Luongo, the 3 of them all being spoken to by the referee. He's got fine reputation, Josh Smith, incidentally. Took charge of the recent East Anglian derby. A bit of a stickler. He's shown 5 red cards in his last 17 games, but he's really, really highly regarded. In comes this latest corner, headed towards goal and cleared off the line. Travis got his head to it. Dewsbury Hall playing it back in. It's taken a deflection, rifled in by McAteer. And Luongo threw himself into the line of fire. Then it's whipped in by Ricardo Pereira. Brought down by Dewsbury Hall, who got himself back onside. He's got Harry Winks in support. Former Tottenham man working it behind square for Yannick Vestergaard. Vestergaard to his left for Wout Faes. 10 minutes into the second half. Ipswich starting the second period brightly, but this is a good spell of pressure from Leicester now as they look to double their advantage and cement this 10-point lead at the top of the table. Justin swooping it to his right-hand side. Quick exchange of passes with McAteer. Back now for Winks. Casey McAteer again. And Harry Winks will work it through the midfield for Faes. And the Leicester attack gravitates down towards the left-hand side. Then it will come back towards the right. At least that's the intention. But Faes' crossfield ball was just about rescued by McAteer. He had to sprint 15 yards back. Such was the level of the mishit from the Leicester defender. And McAteer did really well, and his industry rewarded because the Foxes have kept possession here, and now McAteer can make his way forward, and Dewsbury Hall might use him as the decoy. He's turned back inside. Now he checks and finds McAteer again, level with the edge of the penalty area. The Foxes number 35, pulling it back for Justin. His ball inside the box, headed away by Edmondson, helped further clear by Harness. One back by Leicester and turned to Dewsbury Hall. Justin on the overlap for him. He's worked his square. Chowdhury coming onto it. Man who came close in the first half. Forced a great save out of Gladkey. Mavididi has it now. Mavididi faced up by Burns. He's got it across, but it's sailed over the head of Dewsbury Hall. He'll come back outside the area and just very cleverly stopped and invited the collision with Harness, who's gone down. And it's going to be a free kick to Leicester in a really good position. Courtney Sweetman-Kerr.
Yeah, and that's a sore one. You just see Dewsbury Hall, as you mentioned, is very clever because he just stops. He shifts his body weight, gets himself between the ball and the player. It's just a little clip on the back of the Achilles, I think, and I don't think there's too much in it, but it's definitely a sore one. But this is a fantastic area for Dewsbury Hall to in-swing this ball right-hand side. It's just right in line with the edge of the 18-yard box, probably about 10 yards to the right, and it's a really good angle for the left footer.
In the African Cup of Nations, an equaliser for Egypt against Cape Verde. Trezeguet, the former Aston Villa man, 1-1 there. That's the very least that Egypt need. Free kick taken by Dewsbury Hall inside the penalty area, just headed away by Clark before it got to Faes. Bottom left-hand corner of the penalty area. Leicester recycle it and lay it back for McAteer. Steffi Mavididi controlling it on his right foot, shifting it onto his left. And then just lost his balance as he tried to get himself into a position to deliver. Jackson brings it clear for Ipswich and is fouled. And it's going to be a free kick which will be taken over on the Ipswich Town right-hand side. Let's bring in our Talksport EFL tactical expert, Adrian Clark. Clark, it's been a little bit more open in the second half. Yep. Ipswich with more proactivity about them, but that in some ways could play into Leicester's hands.
Well, it could. It's risk or reward, isn't it? I think Kieran McKenna would have looked at it and said, well, if we play the same way in the second half, will there be a different outcome? And I think the answer to that is probably not. There wouldn't be a different outcome. So he said, let's play higher up the pitch. Let's get 10 yards up. Let's be more aggressive, more hostile. And maybe, because they really struggled in the first half playing out from the back, Ipswich. They couldn't really handle the Leicester press. I think they've got to just be a bit more direct where possible and try and play in the Leicester half and make things happen. It needs a brave second half performance from Ipswich, but it feels to me like they're up for it, Jim. It does. There's a different attitude about them. And there'll be some hairy moments for Ipswich, but if they can be brave enough to get onto the ball more often and to carry on this aggressive style, they'll have their moments in this second half.
They got the first yellow card of the second half. And first yellow card of the game. Lewis Travis sliding in, trying to get there ahead of Ricardo Pereira. The ball just nudged past him. And Travis's studs on his right boot just catching the left ankle of the Leicester player. Just short of an hour played. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0 it remains. The free kick is going to be taken. Well, presumably it's going to be taken because they're wasting as much time as they think they can get away with. But it is now taken 15 yards inside the Ipswich half. It's laid back for Wout Faes. And he will drive it forward left-footed. Cannon goes out towards the far touchline away from Clark and out of play. Throw taken quickly by Ipswich in a hurry to get on with things. Travis, Clark, poked just away from Ricardo Pereira to find Luongo. Luongo put under pressure, laying it forward. Burns, Luongo, clip left-footed over the top. Good run here from Wes Burns, who will control it just down in front of the pocket of Ipswich fans in the top left-hand corner of the ground as we're looking at it. And the ball eventually cleared by Leicester out of play for another throw that'll be taken over on the Ipswich right-hand side. Half an hour for Ipswich to get themselves back into this, Courtney.
Yeah, and again, it's Wes Burns down that right-hand side, in behind Chowdhury. He's got the beating of him both on the ball if he is going to take him on and timing his runs, but there he's got to be more aware. I don't think he was that sure that Vestergaard was coming. He doesn't get his body in between Vestergaard and the ball, and it's too easy to take it off him.
Well, changes are going to be made by Ipswich, and it will be a double change. We're going to see Taylor and Sarmiento. Sarmiento will replace Harness. Marcus Harness only started 5 league games before today, and he'll come off and be replaced by Jeremy Sarmiento, the Ecuadorian international winger on loan from Brighton, who's made more than a dozen Premier League appearances. Jack Taylor is going to come on, and he will replace Lewis Travis. So he's a slightly more attack-minded central midfielder than the man who is going off. And straight away, Sarmiento is involved in the action. He's toe poked the ball forward here. Jackson, right-footed, clipped in. Goalkeeper and centre-half both dealing with the same ball. It was Wout Faes that got it away. It breaks McAteer's way. Excellent sliding challenge from Luongo, wins it back. Edmondson playing it forward. Taylor involved, his first touch since coming on. And now it comes down for Leif Davis. What are your thoughts on the double change, Courtney?
Yeah, I like it from McKenna because, as you mentioned, it's more aggressive, and I think we've hit that time in the game. Just going on 62 minutes, the first 15 or so minutes, they've made sure they've kept themselves in the game. They've been more aggressive. They've not conceded, and now, they've got to go for it because otherwise they're going to lose the game. So, as Adrian said, it's risk versus reward. They've got to take them risks to try and get themselves back in the game.
Ipswich's record against top 6 opposition this season. 2 wins, a draw and 3 defeats. Leicester's record against top 6 opposition, 3 wins, a draw and 2 defeats. So not an awful lot between them. Leicester beaten here by Leeds and at Coventry last time out. Ipswich have only lost 3 league games all season, which is the best record in the division. 2 of those defeats coming against Leeds. And the other one against West Brom. 1-1 the last time the two sides met. 1-0 to Leicester tonight, as it was at this stage of that game in Suffolk on Boxing Day. Table as it stands right now, Leicester 68, Southampton 58, Ipswich 58. Behind the Saints on goal difference, Leeds 54. Could all change. Edmondson, back for Wolfenden, finds his goalkeeper. Edmondson is the out ball, just drifting out of the left-back position. Quick 1-2 between him and Leif Davis, and then Edmondson does well under pressure. Ooh. Ball just about back to Gladkey without any undue alarm, but only just about. And then Gladkey has just played a magnificent pass, one of the passes of the night, out towards the right-hand side. Clark laying it back, his ball, one of the worst passes of the night in the context of that Ipswich Town break. Gladkey had pinged one across the deck, 65 yards, inch perfect to the right back, and then as he cut it back for one of 3 players waiting on the edge of the penalty area, just passed it to the nearest Leicester player.
It's such a shame because Ipswich worked this so well. The right back, he gets high, exploiting the space, but then it's just that rush of blood to the head. You've done so well, and then it's just the composure to pick someone out, and that's what's been missing today for Ipswich.
1-0 it remains in Leicester's favour as Wout Faes plays it forward. Cannon coming to meet the ball. Ian Wolfenden just got caught underneath the flight of it. Edmondson, who had been a lone target for Portsmouth, just playing it back. Edmondson having a lengthier run in the team at the moment because Cam Burgess has had an excellent season away on international duty with Australia in the Asian Cup. And talking of Australians, Luongo might be in a bit of trouble here. He's got a yellow card as the ball bounced on the halfway line, and he and Faes went for it. And the referee decided, the Leicester fans decided as well, Luongo left one on Wout Faes there, which is it bounced up, and Faes coming to meet it with his head, and Luongo stood firm and rotated his upper body, and the contact made with the right shoulder towards the chin and cheek of the Leicester City defender.
Yeah, I think what doesn't help Luongo there is having a bit of a look over his shoulder. He knows that Wout Faes is coming, and yeah, he's probably a bit clever there. It looks like he's going for the ball, but gets a bit of the player there as well.
Here is Faes. He's okay, back on his feet. And play resumes. Ricardo Pereira to Chowdhury. 20 minutes into the second half. Here on Talksport 2, Leicester 1, Ipswich 0, still goalless between Brighton and Wolves. 12 minutes to go in that Premier League game, which is live for you right now. And it's over on Talksport. And here's Jack Taylor. Played the Ipswich side from Peterborough. Played back for Wolfenden, back to his goalkeeper. Looks like he's made a couple of really important saves that have kept Ipswich in this. Remember, if they get a draw, they go up to second. Leicester's lead will remain, as it was at the start of the night, 7 points at the top of the table, but they would move up to 8 points clear of informed Southampton, who come here in the middle of March. I think it's 16th of March at the moment, although that the game might change. Southampton go to Leicester and Ipswich in successive away games in the second half of March, and clearly those are fixtures that will have a massive bearing on what happens in this promotion race. And I'll be very surprised if we don't bring the pair of them to you live here on Talksport 2. Here's Leif Davis. Back through the midfield for Sarmiento. The Ecuadorian playing a little give and go with Connor Chaplin. Sarmiento just opens up his body. Flick forward once more. Sarmiento continues his run forward. Jackson retreating, has lost out. Winks able to bring it away. Dewsbury Hall magnificently works it one side of Edmondson, runs the other, and then just ran out of room. Edmondson recovered in the nick of time, and it goes out of play for an Ipswich throw. They're hanging in there, Courtney, still in this as we approach the midway stage of the second half.
Yeah, they are, and for me, Clark on that right-hand side, he's got to read the game better. He's got to get up with play, because Wes Burns is doing so well. He's making some fantastic runs from out to in. He's drawing, whether it be Chowdhury, whether it be Vestergaard. There is acres of space for Harry Clark to push forward into. He needs to be brave.
Yeah, I agree. I think they've got to take chances, haven't they? Leif Davis is the one that wants to provide the width down this left-hand side and this sort of imbalanced shape. Sarmiento's got into that harness role, which is sort of a left-sided number 10. And I tell you what, I saw him play for West Bromwich Albion at Cardiff. He's got a lot of talent. He's capable of providing a moment of magic.
Yeah, he was at the Hawthorns in the first half of the season on loan. That's a really strong challenge coming in from Clark, and an angry reaction from the Leicester players who feel as though their 11 are now being kicked a bit. Clark's going to get a yellow card for that. Travis and Luongo already in the book in this second half. And Dewsbury Hall, who's been in the wars, he was a victim of a poor challenge in the game at Coventry, which rendered him a doubt for this one. I think he's going to be okay. He's not going to need any treatment. But Clark is going to be spoken to here by the referee. This will be a yellow card, a dark yellow card, I think it's fair to say, because that was a poor challenge.
That was a poor challenge. What I will say about Ipswich, I think Kieran McKenna will be really happy with how his side have performed in the second half. The aggression, the hostility is there. They have unsettled Leicester. When you think about it, Lackey hasn't really had a great deal to do. It's Hermansen that's made the best save of this half. So if Ipswich keep this up, With a shot here of getting an equaliser.
Still just the one attempt on target so far. As far as Ipswich are concerned, Leicester have had 5. Possession, just seeing Ipswich creep into it a little bit more. In the second half, it's been nearly 50-50. But over the whole game, it's mid-50s, mid-40s in Leicester's favour. 21 to go. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0. A little bit more action on the Ipswich bench. Nathan Broadhead, a player that a few Ipswich fans were surprised was left out today, but he's going to be coming on for the last 20 minutes or so. Ball headed out for a throw which will be taken on the Leicester right-hand side by James Justin. And in fact, it's going to be a double change, I think, on the Ipswich bench. McAteer getting it in, sliced away by Edmondson, and out of play for another Leicester City corner. The corner which will be taken on the right-hand side. Second goal might well put this to bed. Dewsbury Hall will walk forward to take it. The ball boy has just retrieved the ball from in front of the hoardings and rolled it expertly. Great weight down towards the corner quadrant. Kasper Schmeichel was here. They used to have a fantastic game of goalkeeper golf in the warm-up. I'll come back to that in a moment. In comes the left-footed corner towards the edge of the penalty area. Mavadini through a crowd of players. Lackey with an important save. Overhead kick then goes over the bar. Well worth an attempt from Cannon, but it sailed over the bar. And Ipswich still struggling, Courtney, to deal with these set pieces.
Yeah, they are, and Mavadidi there is all on his own at the back stick. Absolutely nobody round him. Gets a shot off. He's convinced there's a handball in the mix. But then it's the acrobatics as well by Cannon. Can't quite find the goal. But Ipswich, the most important thing, yes, they're struggling. But they're still, it's only one, and that's the most important thing for them right now.
Double change. Chaplin and Jackson off. And Broadhead and Hutchinson on to replace them. Nathan Broadhead has only scored 1 goal in his last 9 games. That came in the Old Farm Derby. Amari Hutchinson on loan from Chelsea, the one-time Arsenal trainee. And he's got 3 goals this season. So those two on. Broadhead at the moment playing through the middle, but given a lost cause to chase first up. Now Leicester calming things down at the back, have it again with James Justin. You know, Mick Stowe was the goalkeeping coach and Kasper Schmeichel was here. And the goalkeepers would always come out early and they would start with the ball near the touchline and they would aim for the flagpole on the corner quadrant. That was their warm-up for the first 7 or 8 minutes. I don't know whether they had any money on it or what it was. It was so hotly contested. A very engaging watch. But I think that young ball boy on this near touchline would have a chance because the way that he expertly just rolled one on and got it to stick in the quadrant was a thing of beauty. Got 18 minutes to go here. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0's the score. You would Talksport 2, your home of the forthcoming India-England 5-test series. You won't miss a ball that is bowled. It starts 3:45 in Hyderabad, Thursday morning here on Talksport 2. And tomorrow night, the League Cup semi-final second legs start. Chelsea against Middlesbrough, Borough 1 up from the first leg, and then Liverpool 2-1 up from the first leg. Go to Fulham on Wednesday. They're both live for you over on Talksport. And the here and now, Hutchinson trying to win it back and embarrass Chowdhury's managed that. It's Nathan Broadhead, right for his shot from the edge of the area, and Vestergaard launched himself at it and blocked it. Forward it comes from Clark, and Clark couldn't quite find Burns, who stretched on the turn but couldn't bring it under control, and Chowdhury was shepherded out of play. That was a warning shot across the bows, and just a reminder for Leicester that Ipswich aren't done yet.
Yeah, he was. I think it's Hutchinson that does well initially to get his body across Chowdhury, but for me, got to square that to his right, slip the teammate in, Wes Burns there, but Broadhead, come on, he's seen his name in lights, wants the equaliser, but for me, it's the wrong decision.
In the African Cup of Nations tonight, Mozambique 0, Ghana 2. Jordan Ayew's got both of those. It's still 1-1 between Cape Verde, who are going to win that group, and Egypt. Now we've got 17 minutes to go. Leicester, as I mentioned earlier, on target for 110 points. And since the turn of the century, 90 has always been enough for promotion from the Championship to the Premier League, without fail. Only one side has ever won 26 games and not gone up. I reckon that both of those statistics will be breached this year. I think somebody's going to get in the 90s and finish third. Maybe someone gets in the 90s and finishes fourth. Here's Hutchinson winning it back on the Ipswich left-hand side. Sarmiento trying to turn it forward, but Dewsbury Hall has got it. 16 to go, Leicester leading 1-0. Back he goes for Chowdhury. Chowdhury fall through the midfield for Winks. Dewsbury Hall bringing it forward again, out towards Steffi Mavadini, who by his brilliant standards has been quite quiet tonight, but he will turn it forward towards Dewsbury Hall, goes down inside the area, referee hands across the body straight away, says no foul. I think Taylor was the player involved, and it's eventually cleared out of play for a goal kick. No VAR, of course, and Dewsbury Hall's eyes are like a cartoon character's out on stalks at the moment as he looks at the referee. And he can't believe that he hasn't got the verdict there. You're watching a replay. Has he gone to ground too easily, Courtney?
Yeah, the problem is when the actual challenge comes in, he probably does himself a little bit of a disservice in the fact that he tries to keep his feet, and I think this is the issue that...
As Cannon fires one towards goal, and that's well saved by the diving Kladke to put it out of play for a corner.
Yeah, and I was just saying, I think that's the issue that players sometimes have with referees, the fact that you try and stay on your feet and you almost don't get anything for it there. But I think if he goes down on the initial challenge, Dewsbury Hall, I think it'd be outside of the box, but I think it's probably a free kick.
Well, they've got a corner, and it's a corner that's been taken short by Keenan Dewsbury Hall, but not to good effect. Hutchinson winning it back, then chasing after it, and that concentrated the mind of Harry Winks, who had to go up through the gears really quickly there, make sure that Hutchinson couldn't nudge it past him. It's gone out of play for a throw that Ipswich will take inside their own half. 15 minutes to go, and it remains 1-0 to Leicester. That's been the state of play since the half-hour mark. Hutchinson, Broadhead, making a run, getting past fast, left-hand side of the penalty area. Chowdhury covered well as it was swept inside the penalty area looking for Burns, and it's put out of play for a throw that'll be taken on the Ipswich left-hand side. You know, 9 of the last 12 league goals Leicester have conceded have come from this point onwards in games. Not a side that necessarily finish matches strongly. Few of those, don't get me wrong, have come in games where they've been nothing more than academic consolations and the job has already been done. But it is 9 of the last 12 they've conceded come in the final 15 minutes of matches.
It does make you think as well that the lack of substitutions that Maresca tends to make is that maybe a little bit of tiredness and fatigue setting into the squad.
He hasn't made any so far today. On the bench he's got Cody, Doyle and Nelson, defenders. Albrighton, Marçal, Yunus, Pratt and Vardy. Hutchinson again. Ipswich warming to their task here. It's clipped round the corner by Sarmiento. Broadhead with a shot, wins a corner as it hits James Justin.
Amari Hutchinson has been fantastic since he's come on and done more than Connor Chaplin in the sense that he's got the better of Fass. He was Chaplin's shadow for most of the game, Fass, but Amari Hutchinson is turned the tables on him. He's really struggling to deal with him.
Brighton Wolves still 0-0 going into stoppage time. This one 1-0 to Leicester inside the final 15 minutes. Left-footed corner in from Leif Davis, just too high for Edmondson, who came to meet it on the edge of the 6-yard box. It brushed off the top of his head. It's kept in by Taylor on the Ipswich left, level with the edge of the box. Pulled back for Luongo. Wolfenden, he'll turn. He had the option of playing it to his right for Clark. He's worked it back for Luongo instead. And Luongo under pressure from Winks, more than happy to go back to his goalkeeper, but he's in the centre circle. And Kladke, again, just waiting for Cannon to come and put him under a little bit of pressure. Chips it forward, Justin heads it away. It's out of play for an Ipswich throw. I think we're set up for a fantastic final 12 minutes here. Leif Davis. Sarmiento waiting on the left-hand touchline. The camera actually pans to Enzo Maresca, who's about 3 rows behind us. He's leaning forward, looking nervous. His body language suggests that he doesn't believe that this is done as yet. 12 left, 1-0 Leicester. Long ball launched forward. Is Burns offside? He is. Brought it down, but just made his run a little bit too early, and he berates the assistant referee over on the far touchline, Sam Lewis. He's not sure about the decision at all. Think it was correct. And it's a free kick that'll be taken by Leicester inside their own half.
Yeah, it's correct, and it's such a shame because he's been spot on with the timing of his runs, Wes Byrne, and he's not normally got the ball to match it, but the time that he doesn't time it right he gets a perfect ball and brings it down expertly, but it's probably strayed about a yard offside.
Double change imminent for Leicester. Yunus Akgün and Jamie Vardy are the two players being readied. Just getting their final instructions from Willy Caballero. Goalkeeper Manson put under pressure by Broadhead, found Farce over on the Leicester left. Ipswich have had more ball in the last 10 minutes than at any other stage, I would suggest. Vestergaard smacks this one long. Edmondson lets it run. And Adrian Clark, the feeling is now that the game has gravitated. It's a byproduct, really, of the fact that we're 79 minutes in and Leicester are leading, but Ipswich going for it more and asking more questions now.
It feels like it's building to a crescendo, doesn't it? And I've admired the bravery of Ipswich second half, and I like the timing of the substitutions, all in forward areas. 3 of the front 4 are all substitutes, and they've come on with that renewed energy, haven't they? And really, it's not about pretty football for Ipswich here tonight. It's about, can we hassle Leicester? Can we win it inside their half and make something happen? And they have on numerous occasions. It's just that final choice that's been wrong on 2 or 3 occasions. Like Courtney's been saying it, Wes Burns has been so unlucky. He's been in great positions. Just slip it to Wes Burns, but for one reason or another, they haven't given it to him, and their most promising attacks have been thwarted. But this has been a really good second half, I think, from the visitors.
Perfect game plan, poorly executed, is what the pair of you are saying.
I think so, yeah. They've made life trickier for Leicester tonight than most teams do.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what we've seen in the second half is not too much of a departure from the original game plan. It's just the fact that everyone is a little bit higher. You can get on the first, the second, the third balls better when you've got more bodies around the ball. But it's just such a shame that in those final moments when you really need that little bit of composure or the right decision making, Ipswich have just not found it as yet.
So for the first time since November the 29th, Jamie Vardy plays for Leicester. He's missed the last 10 games, but he will come on for the final 10 minutes or so. He scored in his last appearance against Ipswich. That was here, just a couple of weeks short of 10 years ago, back in 2014, a game that the Foxes won 3-0 on their way to promotion. They lead this one 1-0, seemingly on their way to promotion. Yunus is on as well. Dewsbury Hall and Cannon, the players that have gone off. Ball inside the penalty area. Big appeals for handball as Justin cleared it into Farce. Goes behind for a corner. Ipswich still with their tails up here.
I do potentially think that's hit a hand, but I think it's come as a deflection, so it's hit the foot, then the hand, and I think it'd be very, very harsh to give that. It's such a short space to be able to try and pull your hand out of the way and taking a deflection. For me, that can't be a penalty.
I totally agree. So did the officials. In comes the corner. Headed over the bar. Well, it was Edmondson that came to meet it. Just took a step back on the edge of the 6-yard box. It was a great curving delivery. So Manson thought that he had a chance of getting it, came to meet it, didn't get there. Edmondson knew he was going to get clattered. Was in bravely, trying to turn it towards goal, but it's just come off the top of his head, really, and flown over the bar. 8 minutes to go. The Premier League game on the South Coast tonight is finished 0-0 over on Talksport between Brighton and Wolves, and reaction to that result is lively right now with Adrian Durham at the Amex tonight over on Talksport. This one's 7.5 to go, and finely poised. Leicester at the moment looking good for it, but Ipswich will feel that the way that they played in the second half, they're worthy of an equaliser. Davis can't keep the ball in right in front of us. It's gone out for a throw that'll be taken by Leicester on the right-hand side, with James Justin, the man that's got the ball in his hands. And Justin waiting for a little bit of movement ahead of him. Throws it in towards Vardy. And it's a toe poke back out. Just the clarification of those two changes then. So Yunus coming on and Vardy coming on as well. Vardy replacing Cannon up front and Yunus on for Dewsbury Hall in the midfield. Yunus Akgün, who's on loan from Galatasaray. A player who's won 7 caps for his native Turkey. Here's Chowdhury mopping up, going back to his goalkeeper. With Talksport 2, 6.5 left. Leicester 1, Ipswich 0. And the League Cup semi-finals coming your way tomorrow. 9 FA Cup ties over the course of the weekend. Starting with a double bill Friday night As Leicester bring the ball forward here, Yunus slips it in. McAteer can't get their goalkeeper out quickly enough and got his body down. McAteer trying to get it past him, just smacked it straight into him from close range. Then Ipswich will try and break, and Ricardo Pereira gets a yellow card with a foul on Leif Davis that gives Ipswich a free kick on halfway.
It's absolutely brilliant goalkeeping, by the way, from Hladky. That's the last thing you want as a forward player, when the goalkeeper comes out quickly, makes themselves big, and you know you're probably going to get clattered on the way. It's really good goalkeeping.
Jack Taylor back inside his own half. Edmondson's got it. 6 left. Plus stoppage time, and certainly a lot more stoppage time in the second half than there was in the first. Maybe 4 minutes, so probably into about the last 10 minutes of playing time. And a reminder that it was a stoppage time equaliser for Ipswich the last time the two sides met. A shot that hit Yannick Vestergaard and went in the 93rd minute. Faas getting it back to his goalkeeper. Hermansen wanting a touch, but calmly side-foots it outside the penalty area on the right to Justin. Justin to Vestergaard. Vestergaard back to his goalkeeper again. Oh, Hermansen almost turned right into trouble. In the end, he stopped it going out of play for a corner and put it out of play for a throw, but he so nearly smacked it straight into Nathan Broadhead, and that could have ricocheted in. It's gone out of play for a throw. They're panicking in the back now that Ipswich are really applying the pressure in that press. Leif Davis to take the throw. 10 yards from the corner flag on the Ipswich left. They trail 1-0. Thrown in towards the near post, flicked on, and then hits Broadhead and goes behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's a shame he just can't get the right connection on it. Broadhead is needs to flick it behind him rather than try and get in the forehead on it there. But just think you've got to give credit to Ipswich, not just the aggressiveness to get back into the game and try and score, but actually they've negated so many chances for Leicester City. I can't really remember, except for the cannon opportunity in the Mavididi. Aside from that, they've really limited Leicester to opportunities, and then at the other end of the pitch, they've done enough to, I think, get themselves back into the game. It's just that little bit of lack of quality, but there's still enough time, and they'll mount a big charge Ipswich to try and get themselves the equaliser. Touch
of cramp for Casey McAteer. He's been attended to by his teammates, and play resumes with a goal kick. Faas inside his penalty area, driving it forward. Vardy tried to flick it on. Presented it to Leif Davis. Vardy, very industrious, won it back. Yunus has it. Justin to his right. McAteer will make his way forward as well. Justin midway inside the Ipswich half, pulls it back behind square for Winks, whose experience has been such a boon in this promotion challenge for Leicester this season. Justin has it now. 3.5 minutes to go. Still 1-0. Vestergaard. Be hoping that lightning doesn't strike twice after it was his own goal that gave Ipswich a share of the spoils back on Boxing Day between these two. Yunus tried to help it on towards the edge of the penalty area. Edmondson will turn. Way back to the goalkeeper is blocked, and then he very nearly gave McAteer a chance to win it back. He has played his way out, and then a beautiful touch on the half turn there by Sarmiento. He was fouled. The referee says play on. Good ball forward from Taylor. Hutchinson towards the edge of the penalty area here for Ipswich. Looking for an equaliser late in the game. Clark is forward. Hutchinson winning it back after Burns had initially lost it. Chowdhury puts his foot through it and clears it towards halfway. Oh, that little touch there from Sarmiento. It was absolutely brilliant. The way he drops the shoulder, the touch straight in front of him. And then again, Ipswich doing so well to get in the final third, but then they're just stuttering for that final ball. It's like they're not sure which ball to play. Do we shoot? Do we pass? Do we find a teammate? By the time all that's gone through your head, the moment's gone. Ipswich's final change will be made in a moment. Cam Humphreys will be coming on. Hutchinson played forward towards Sarmiento again. He's in a central position, 15 outside the penalty area. He's worked it to his right for Clark. Clark trying to get back. Mavididi doing his best to put a challenge in. It's come off him and goes down towards the dead ball line, but he can clear before it goes out of play for a corner. Vardy might be in his 38th year. He's still got a yard of pace on him, but he couldn't get past Wolfenden. And he can get it back for his goalkeeper, Hladky. And we've got 90 seconds of the 90 minutes left. Ipswich trailing 1-0. Pressing hard now. Broadhead inside the centre of midfield. And the Welsh international works it to his left-hand side. Edmondson will come forward. Here's Leif Davis. Hutchinson showing for the ball. Wants it into feet. Davis getting it inside the penalty area for Broadhead. Can't get a shot in. Luongo can! Good save! Put it in! No! Yes, it is! Bundled in! Sarmiento! They're back on level terms. They've done it against Leicester again with an equaliser right at the death. In the 89th minute from Sarmiento. After the initial shot was beaten down by the goalkeeper. Sarmiento first to react. Fires it into the ground. The goalkeeper gets a hand to it but can't keep it out. And for the second time in 4 weeks, Ipswich equalise against Leicester right at the end. Jeremy Sarmiento. It's Leicester 1, Ipswich 1.
Well, Jim, you can't say they don't deserve it. For the last 20 minutes, they've been knocking at the door. The strike by Luongo, by the way, is moving all over the place. Not sure if it takes a deflection on the way, but it's a wicked strike. And then Hermansen, all he can do is bat it away. Sarmiento, he is onside. The Leicester City players were convinced he wasn't. Almost makes a little bit of a hash of it because of the way it falls. It's quite difficult, but he's calm, he's composed. He gets his knee over it, and he just tries to hit the target. Then it's bundled in the back of the net somehow, but Ipswich deserve that goal, Jim. They really do.
Jeremy Sarmiento's first for Ipswich. And we go into 4 added minutes. Mark Albrighton has come on here for Leicester to replace Casey McAteer. And Ipswich now believing that they can turn nothing potentially into 3 points. Hutchinson driving forward. And we welcome listeners from Talksport. I know you joined us just in time for that Jeremy Sarmiento goal, which came in the 89th minute. The last time these two sides met, Leicester led for 70 and it ended 1-1. Tonight, they've led for 58 and it might end 1-1. They had a 10-point lead within their grasp. It's back down to 7 at the top of the championship, but there's still time for either side to win it. Leicester won't be winning it with a quality delivery like that from Hamza Chowdhury, who has just sent it sailing high over everybody and out of play for a goal kick that will be taken away to our right-hand side. Now let's hear from our two experts tonight, the EFL expert Adrian Clark in a moment. Firstly, Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, 3 minutes to go.
Well, I think that the big thing that I keep thinking back to for Ipswich in this second half is the fact that they've kept themselves in it. Yes, they've got forward, they've been aggressive, but they've not been too open. They've limited the chances for Leicester City, so they've managed to keep themselves into the game to still give them a chance keeping that one goal. And managed to get the equaliser, and they fully deserve it.
Yeah, it's been a bold second half performance from Ipswich, and the substitutes have changed it. Hutchinson and Sarmiento, absolutely brilliant. They've re-energised the side, and they've given Leicester all sorts of problems. And I think this is a fair result as it stands.
Leif Davis making his way forward. He thought that he was fouled. The referee says no. 2 minutes of stoppage time left. It's live for you over on Talksport 2. It's 1-1 here at the King Power. And Yunus turns it down towards Jamie Vardy. Mark Albrighton, high ball forward over the top. Vardy chasing, and it's headed away by Wolfenden before he got there. It would be very fitting if Jamie Vardy was to be able to score the winner. 177 Leicester goals behind him. Some monumental ones in that tally, of course. Well, this would be a significant one if he could score now. Fast heading the ball forward. Then nodded down. Vardy getting just a little bang around the back of the head. I think that was an accidental collision. The referee stopped play because there's an Ipswich player down on the edge of the D. It's Massimo Luongo. And it's going to be a free kick to Ipswich to restart proceedings. Well, they've been excellent second half. On the ground where Leicester have only dropped points twice all season. Beaten here by Hull, beaten by Leeds. And Ipswich possibly going to hold them. Still got about 90 seconds of playing time to go. And Jeremy Sarmiento's name is being chanted by the Ipswich fans. Only his third substitute appearance for the club today. He did well in that loan spell at West Brom, and he's just conjured up a big, big moment in this promotion race. As it stands right now, it's Leicester 66, Ipswich 59, Southampton 58, Leeds 54. That's the top four. Ball played forward. Minute to go. Chested down by Harry Winks. Winks is 20 yards outside the Ipswich Town penalty area. Long left-footed ball sails out towards the far side, where it can't be kept in, and it goes out for a throw, which will be taken on the Ipswich right. Well, it'd be a decent result for Ipswich. It wouldn't be a bad result for Southampton either, this, if it stays one apiece. Throw which Ipswich will take. The 4 minutes are nearly up. We have had a stoppage within those 4 minutes of foul on Luongo. Ipswich will make their way forward. The player goes down. It was Hutchinson right in front of the assistant referee. No foul. And the referee says that that is the end of the game. Well, Leicester City within moments of having a 10-point lead at the top of the Championship, which would have been champagne on ice moment even in the back end of January. But Jeremy Sarmiento's equalising goal ties it up, keeps Ipswich very much in this promotion race and the title race as well. Southampton will be delighted as their two principal Championship rivals have dropped points. An excellent second half, a huge tactical battle throughout the game. But for the second time in 4 weeks, Ipswich salvaged something right at the death against Leicester. Hugely enjoyable fare. Leicester 1, Ipswich 1.
Well, Jamie Vardy there at the end of the game, trying to have some probably strong words with the referee. Referee not having any of it, but you can see the frustration on a number of Leicester players who were huddled round him at the end as Kieran McKenna gave congratulations to his staff and his players after they snatched a vital point away at the King Power, and they go over and applaud their fans, their loud travelling fans who helped them make the difference in the closing stages of the game as they ramped up through the gears, pressed and got the equaliser that, as Courtney says, they so much deserved. What it means for the Championship table is that Leicester are top on 66 points in first place. Ipswich move up to second, a point above Southampton on 59. Southampton, of course, sitting third with Leeds in fourth. They are 4 points behind them, and then there is a full 9-point gap to West Brom in fifth on 45 points. Another 5 points separate the Baggies there and West Brom all the way down and Middlesbrough all the way down in 11th. So things really tighter when it comes to the top four picture than they are when you're looking at 5th, 6th and below. So we shall see exactly how things pan out, but it is a massive result for Ipswich in the end. Courtney, you said it was kind of must not lose for them. How pleased do you think they'll be with the way that they responded in that second half? Yeah, very happy. I think they were aggressive going forward. They negated a lot of opportunities for Leicester City, and Adrian mentioned it, but for me, Amari Hutchinson, yes, Sarmiento will obviously get all the plaudits scoring the goals, and rightly so, but Amari Hutchinson for me was the player that changed the game. He was fantastic in the middle of the park. He was always trying to pick up pockets, trying to make things work. Wes Burns as well, you've got to give big credit to him, because I think he was fantastic and probably didn't get sort of all of the service that he deserved today for the runs that he was making. But I think at the end of the day, it's a fair result. And you're seeing at the end of the game, as you mentioned, Jamie Vardy and some of the Leicester players upset. But actually, for the amount of possession that they had, they've only got themselves to blame for the fact that they didn't get themselves further ahead. What do you think about how that game changed in the second half? Was it down to the substitutes? Because it felt like there was more pace, more energy that came off the bench for Ipswich in the end than it was for Leicester. What did you make of the changes made? Yeah, I think the changes were important, and the timing of them as well, to give you almost the maximum amount of time possible to be able to get yourself back into the game without being too open at the start of it and potentially conceding. And I do think that you look at the finish that Ipswich made compared to Leicester, and we talk a lot about Leicester and the players and the strength and depth that they've got, but they probably didn't use it to full effect the way that Ipswich did. So I think in terms of the way that they played as well, I don't think in terms of the tactical game plan too much changed in terms of the areas they were trying to exploit. It was just the fact that they were higher up the pitch, and as you mentioned, then towards the end of the game they had a lot more energy to execute the game plan. Who do you think will be the happier here moving forward? I'm sure it will be Ipswich, but Leicester, can they take some positives for the fact that they get something out of the game? Yeah, definitely. Look, Ipswich have done fantastically well to be where they are. So it was, first
first v third at the time, but first v second. So it was always going to be a tough game for Leicester, and the fact that they've come out with a point, would they wanted 3 at home? Yes, of course they would, but then when you think about the bigger picture and having players away and out injured and everything else. So I think for that period of time where over Christmas and AFCON as well, I think they'll be quite happy with the points that they've accrued. And you're always going to have a bit of a dip at some point in the season, but at the end of the day, they're still clear at the top, and that's the most important thing for Leicester City. But I think at this moment in time, Kieran McKenna will be the happier manager.
Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, Jim Proudfoot, thank you very much for being with me throughout the evening. It has been an entertaining one at the King Power. Up next for Leicester City, Tuesday the 30th of January, they'll be taking on Swansea. Of course, we've got the FA Cup 4th round coming up. And up next for Ipswich, there's a little bit of a break for them. They will be playing Preston Saturday, the 3rd of February. So some time for Kieran McKenna and his team to get together, reassess and move on for the second stage of the season. An important point for them this evening in the Championship. It means that they stay within 7 points of Leicester City at the top and avoid them being 10 points clear, which was absolutely massive. Okay, just to bring you up to date with other events in the live football this evening, we have just seen Brighton draw 0-0 with Wolves in the Premier League over on Talksport. If you want to have your say, by the way, about anything that you've seen and heard when it comes to the Championship or the Premier League tonight, get yourselves over to Talksport. Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara will be with you for the Sports Bar. The number to call 03717 223344. We have seen incredible drama at the Africa Cup of Nations this evening. Just to let you know, Jordan Ayew's double put Ghana into the last 16. They beat Mozambique. Egypt have just taken a lead at the death just before the final whistle, which means they go from third and likely going out of AFCON to through. They were cheered on by Mo Salah from the stands. Trezeguet, the former Aston Villa player, has scored a 90